Oh, screw it. Just let him in and we're waiting on Oliver anyway.
Yeah.
Screw it. He can come and join
Whatever
us.
he's doing.
You're so funny.
Oh, there's David.
Me and him do not assume anymore.
Oh, God damn it. Oh, hi. Sorry.
Of course, the cat wants to do everything.
Hang on.
Ah, everything happening all at once.
Everything is happening so much right now.
But
Your
I got
friend
my
Ryan
coffee.
Houston was just trying to call me, or Huston, or whatever.
Of course.
Oh,
I
nice.
love those like Facebook calls. I'm like, I don't want to talk.
How are you doing, David?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Yeah, busy.
Good.
Busy week I've had,
Mhm.
but doing really good. Yeah, nothing I
That's
can't
good.
handle.
Is that Waverly Hills behind you?
Sure is. Yes,
I thought so.
Oh, you're so lucky. I've got to make sure to. Oh, Oliver's there. I was going to ask a question.
Oliver.
Oliver.
Don't ask a question yet. Just wait. Be patient.
We'll just wait. We'll be patient.
Just wait. Be patient.
We'll be
I love it.
She's gonna kick your butt one of these days, David.
I know. Oh, she's gonna kick my wee little butt.
She's gonna kick
My
your wee little arse.
My little arse.
Arse.
Oh, it's gonna get a right nice plug-in in there. Oh, that sounds wrong.
Hold on. Okay, there I am.
There's Oliver.
Hey, Oliver.
I'm back. Hey guys, how are you?
What's up?
We're
Doing good.
Don't mind us giggling. We're giggle boxes here. We can't help it.
That's okay.
We've been causing mischief. We always do, don't we, Cricket?
We
Oh,
do.
yeah. Mischief managed.
I like your backdrop there too. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
yeah, that's really neat. I love it.
And I've got where is it? Hang on. My fingers disappeared. Oh.
See
It's
Jack
right down there.
There's-
Nicholson. Oh, I see Carol Ann. Yep.
That's what I was like, she's there, but my finger just disappeared.
Yeah, you have all the usual suspects right there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Too. I like Hannibal's in the left-hand corner there too.
The only thing missing, Scotty, my love, we know who's missing.
I know. I'm so upset.
I think this was made before art anyway.
Well, we have this room.
You'll do an update with it.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. We'll just Photoshop me in.
Yeah.
just like maybe
Easy.
Oh no,
Mhm.
I don't know. What side would you want to be on? This is
Whatever side you can like turn your face and kiss his cheek on.
Yeah.
You could be next to
Be
Tom.
right over Michael Myers, like, I've got you, bitch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Post him
I think
over.
that's perfect. That's the perfect place.
Like fuck you, you're shit.
So the true Halloween ends.
But it is awesome.
Awful. I love it, but awful.
Did you see it, Oliver? Yeah.
So thanks for doing this. Is so much fun. This is great.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it's something different. I've never done anything like this before, so it should be.
I know. It's like
Oh, you do interviews all the time, Scotty.
Yeah, but nothing like this. And
I've
like,
never
Not-
done an
no,
interview with
but,
people.
you know,
There's
how
just
often
way
does-
too much coolness on this screen right now.
It's always spent with the voices in my head.
actually quite-
You're gonna have David. You're gonna have Scotty's little accent, my weird chirpy
oh my god.
alien sounding accent, and then Oliver.
I just have my California / New York accent. I don't know. Sometimes
Yeah.
I call them because my mom's from New York City and I grew up in California, so they kind of converge together. So I don't know.
Oh.
It's
It's
weird.
a weird hybridization. It's like
It
my
is
ex Maggie. She was from Australia, but she lived in London for a long period of time. So she had a weird hybridization of like the Australian and the London accent. I couldn't. She's always like, imitate me. I'm like, I can't. It's like your accent is so unlike anything else.
It's an amalgamation of so many different things.
Yeah.
Australians know us better than we know ourselves. They've done so many. They can do an American accent so well too.
Yeah.
I was once
Oh,
working.
Oh
no,
yeah,
no,
go. I'll just say, oh yeah.
I was working with this Australian actress, and when she auditioned for me, she walked in and she did an American accent. She didn't tell me she was Australian until after she got the part. She's, oh, by the way, I'm an Aussie. I'm like, what? I'm like, no, she did an American accent better than I could do an American accent, and I'm American.
It's crazy. It's like there's been so many times I've been watching a TV show or a movie, and I'm like, oh, that actor's great. Then I see them in an interview later on, and they got a British accent. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it is. It's like they know us so well. You know, it's
Yeah.
amazing how they can replicate.
It was
our
like
accent.
Bob Hoskins, like, because I knew him from like Who Framed Roger Rabbit and the Mario
Oh,
Brothers movie, and then
Yeah.
like I hear him talking in an interview, and he's got the Cockney accent. I'm like, what? No, what?
Yeah, it's
He was-
a good one. It's just Scottish people that can't get rid of their accent. Now, when you think of Gerard Butler in like 300, this is Sparta. That's not how they spoke, Bob. That's not how they spoke.
Oh no.
That's okay. It still works,
No, I can hear the Scottish too much. I'm like, that's
That's-
something not right
So
here.
are you from Scotland too?
Yeah.
Oh. I always think of that show Outlander now. I'm like addicted to that show. I don't know. I always like I want to have like a sword and go around there, and I'd love to
And
tell
a kilt.
of Outlander.
Yeah.
You have to
Well,
come up with awesome fun. But
I d-
yeah. They're all
Well, I
great.
know Alan Cummings can get rid of it though. He's been a
But he's got quite a, oh, this is so mean, a weak Scottish accent. I don't think it's
So
that.
he doesn't have the true Scottish accent.
yeah. He's not talking like that's the whole name.
That's Glaswegian. That's like West Coast where I'm from.
Oh yeah.
Mine's is weak as well because I've been down here too long. Down
Yeah.
in England too long, so I'm like, fuck. But when it's actually fun, I'm like,
Oh yeah, we're gonna have all kinds of fun. I'm gonna go to the pub. What are we gonna do about it? I don't know.
well, you seen my video, didn't you, David, of me trying?
Yeah.
Burglar.
Burglar
Scotty,
alarm.
say it.
All right, I'll try one time.
Purple burglar alarm.
That's hard.
Burglar.
That's
Try
really,
it.
fuck me. Okay. Purple burglar alarm. No, hang on, wait. Wait. This whole video is going to be me trying to say the fucking thing. Purple burglar alarm. No.
What is that from?
Almost.
What is that?
It's like things Scottish people can't say, like horror. There's too many.
Purple.
It's an
You can
R.
do it. Purple burglar alarm.
Yeah, but you've got like an American
Yeah.
accent.
That is true. I guess I'm cheating because I have the
There's
American
this great video of this drunk Scottish guy that his friends are trying to get him to say it, and he's like, "Purple burglar," and I'm not football. Oh, purple burglar.
I think you need to be extra drunk to be able to say
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, it's hysterical.
That's so great.
Hysterical. If I'm
Sure.
having a bad day, I just need to look at that video and I'm good. Because I'm just like,
Mhm.
I'll send you. I'll wait till I'm drunk one night and I'll send you, and I'll be like, there you go. You can keep that and you can watch it whenever you want.
Purple burglar alarm. Yeah, that's great.
It's oh fuck. It's burglar. Burglar.
It's all because of the way it's placed in your mouth. That's what makes it hard.
like,
That's
nature
what she
hard
said.
apples. Yeah, they're just hard.
yeah,
What was that?
That's
what
what
she
she said.
Well,
It's true.
I
Yeah.
think people struggle with things in their mouth if they're trying to say that. Anyway, this is getting ridiculous. Moving on.
Oh my gosh.
Like shit.
that was one of my favorite "That's What She Said" jokes. I'm sorry, but that was
That was
Pretty
brilliantly
good, right?
placed.
yeah.
I don't write the jokes write me.
This come to you. You know.
That's what she said.
I know I was gonna say that again, but oh gosh.
Oh my
Wow, what a turn we've taken.
I know. Oh
It's-
boy.
Oh, I need to move my
It's
little
so
hand
early in
thing
the
off
morning
the
here.
screen. It was picking
Yeah.
David's
Yeah.
nose for a second.
for
Sorry.
all of us. Like, I need to talk for this shit.
Excuse me.
I'm becoming one with it. I get it. It's just early here. You know, a couple hours
Yeah.
from now, I'll be rolling with it more.
Oh
There
yeah.
you go.
I just
We'll
need more
wake you up.
caffeine.
Yeah, we'll wake you up.
Yeah. Well, it's like 10 over there right now, right?
Yeah. Well, actually,
Yeah.
I'm a morning. Somehow I didn't sleep that well, and it was the craziest thing I was reading too. I
Mhm.
usually don't. I'm in the dystopian nuclear holocaust kind of thing. There was a RAND study. I know this is really uplifting, but what would happen when we went to war with China? And I know it's great reading, you know, but it was just
Mhm.
it was read like a horror movie. I mean, it was like, and they read exactly
yeah.
how they would die, all these things would happen. So I was like, oh my God, I shouldn't have read that before going to sleep.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
Oh,
Right.
well, it's like China could like destroy us, not without even firing a bullet or a missile. They could just destroy us economically, and we're done. So it's
And
just like,
And they talk about all of the ramifications in our world, and I was like, oh God. Then I said, okay, now it's time to go to sleep. You
Yep.
know?
yay, that's gonna be
Yeah,
on
that's
my mind
great.
all
The
night.
world's gonna be apocalypse. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Good bedtime reading.
Oh,
Funny.
yeah. Nice bedtime story, Oliver.
Yeah, I
It's
know,
like,
I know that. It's like the true horror. It's like a real life horror movie. That's what's so scary about it. I was like,
might
oh
as well
god.
just play Fallout and
Yeah, I know. They like. I'll mention like they talk about, and they say it's so like by. So they're so cold and calculating the discussion. Like, yes, in the initial first 30 hours of the battle, it was more men than in the last 30 years of war in the Mideast. And 2 carriers will be taken out, and they'll do this, this, and this, and all these
Wow.
crazy things.
Wow.
But yeah, it's really uplifting stuff.
Yeah.
So, that's what I was really
Sounds
watching.
like- Wow.
Yay. It's
Hey.
yay.
Yeah, it's fun. So anyhow,
Still better than Twitter.
oh my god, I read your post about that too.
Yeah.
Like so what's going on? So people ask for amnesty and they can like, please let me back on.
Yeah, he said this week he was gonna let everybody back on that had been banned for free speech and stuff like that. Because I was banned back in 2019. It was the week the orange guy invited the Taliban to Camp David for the anniversary of 9/11. And I'm like, I wrote something like, "Are you kidding me? You know, this is ridiculous. You should be tarred and feathered for this." And I meant that in the metaphorical sense that they use in journalism to be publicly ostracized or
Yeah.
they're like, nope, you made a threat against the president of the United States. You're banned. I'm like,
Oh,
tars and feathers anybody anymore. I was like, that hasn't happened for over 100 years.
so you really, I mean, you have to be careful. I mean, anything
Yeah.
literal at that time, you're off. You know,
Yeah,
that's that.
yeah. And I applied to get put back on, and they're like, nope. I'm like, oh, cool. Well, if I was a white nationalist, I could get back on though. So yeah.
Right. No, they're like, yeah, you know, I think I hate to say it, but it's all about like ratings and promotion, and they want controversy.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's what's going to sell everything. You know,
yeah.
it's not,
Oh,
you
you
know.
look at what happened with Kanye. I mean, like he posted the picture of the swastika in the middle of the Star of David. That was left up for hours. Then he posted a picture of Elon in a bathing suit being hosed off by one of his security guards, and that's when they banned him. I was
It's
like,
just,
so, yeah,
it's very, I mean, I'd say, but I think it's very calculating. You know, this highly charged, controversial stuff, they're going to leave on because it brings eyeballs to it, you know, unfortunately. So
that's it. Well, I understand they even like banned Screenbox for a day or so because they posted just a still from Terrifier too, and it was just
Really?
like this is a work of fiction. It's on a
Yeah.
horror website, and what? So it's just like the things that
Nazi loving guys are far more terrifying than anything from Terrifier.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like that's fake. You know, these white supremacists are real, and you're like, oh, that's fine.
Yeah, they're the true horror movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh my God, this has been insane. This has been an insane week, just over all that kind of stuff. It's like I posted that thing yesterday, just speaking out against white nationalism and Nazism, and I actually had people upset with me over that. I'm like,
how could you be upset about these? Are like the bad guys. These are like
I know
villains. You know,
that's just like the one thing I thought everybody could agree on. Nazis bad.
Yeah.
I don't see how there's any confusion about that. That is just.
That's who's always the bad guy in movies and video games. It's like that's just one thing that's not up for debate. It's like the Nazis. They killed millions of people.
Yeah, they actually killed half of my family too. You know, so I lost my entire extended family in Europe because of the Nazis. So yeah, I think you can't say anything good about the Nazis. There's no good Nazi. There really isn't. I'm sorry.
Only a dead one.
Yeah.
It's just like that's just like, but people were upset over that. I'm like, how are you upset?
What were they? Just out of curiosity, what were they upset about? How could you like not like?
They
that?
never said what they were upset about. They were just upset that I was
Just
talking
upset.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, they're like, no, you need to stick to acting. I'm like, but that's
a human being. You know,
like what? Yeah. It's like, do you think Charlie Chaplin stuck to acting when it came to Nazis? No, he made the movie The Great Dictator.
Yeah,
it's just.
And you're a human being with feelings and emotion and intelligence, and you should be able to express that. You know,
like just because of an actor. It's just that makes no sense. It's like, but if you're a plumber, you can say whatever you want. But no, I'm an actor, so I should keep my mouth shut when it comes to Nazis being bad.
Yeah, I don't understand that logic. These people make no
I
sense
don't
to
either.
me. And if you support Nazis, then you're not my friend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess you could say I made them furious.
Oh my god, I've laughed way too hard at that.
Oh, that's good. That's great. I love that.
I know, right?
That was so
Oh my God.
David, you and your puns.
good.
They did not see that coming.
I love it. I love it.
It's just bullshit though, because
We
that's
like a
Fuck
bit of
Nazis.
punishment.
I think that's when I
Fuck
had
'em.
an argument with somebody. Was like, but you've come to his personal page,
Yeah.
Yeah.
with
Right.
like personal political views. Go to Atcast if you just want
Yeah.
to out the cloud.
Yeah.
Like it's not.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like
I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings that I said bad things about Nazis.
I
Yeah.
know. I truly love Hitler, and he's a great guy. And I'm sorry I put him
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Eh.
Let me get
Poor
the clean.
guy. He was just angry at everybody because he only had one testicle. That's actually historically true.
yeah,
No, it makes perfect sense.
Yep.
It happens. You become a flaming anti-Semitic when you only have one ball.
Yeah.
Or Semenetic. Okay, stupid.
So-
Sorry, I'll shut up.
Anyway.
Anyhow, back at the ranch.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We probably lost some viewers over that even. They're like,
Right.
oh, I wanted to hear this, and now they're talking bad about Nazis.
just like white supremacists. I love those guys.
Like, I'm never watching Indiana Jones ever again.
Yeah.
wait, yeah, like that they can fuck off because I'm not putting up with that.
Right.
Bye. Don't bother subscribing. Just come on.
Go step out of here.
Yep.
Anyway, it's like we can have a bitch about this all day, literally. Could
Oh,
do.
I could.
Oh,
Fuck Nazis. My grandfathers fought a war over that. It's just like,
We lost. I just don't understand it. We lost so much blood and treasure fighting these bad guys. We put them down, and now you're like, I love them now, and you're just an actor. You shouldn't talk about that. Makes no sense.
I think
Makes
because
no
you're an
sense.
actor, you should talk about that because you've got
Yeah.
a platform.
oh,
We should
that's the
talk about
thing.
You're a person, and you have value, and and beliefs, and everything. You're a good human being, and you're fighting for the right things.
Well, that's the thing. The arts have always been a platform for talking about this kind of stuff since ancient Greece. It's like it was actually like the actors that were one of the few places where they could freely do this kind of stuff without fear of retribution. And it's like you look at a lot of Shakespeare plays, a lot of that was commentary on the inner workings of the monarchy at the time.
No, it's really true too.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember that film. It's this film called Mephisto. I don't know if you ever saw it. It was a German film, but
Mhm.
it's about an actor who does ignore everything. He says, I'm just an actor. And, the Nazis are coming to power in the back. I don't know if you ever saw it. And he does nothing. And then all of a sudden he wakes up one day and he can't say anything anymore because the Nazis now have taken control and power. And he kind of has regret that he never said a word. And he had in a position to actually do it. So I think, that's it's a powerful message.
No. But I digest.
Yes.
I just had lunch.
Yes.
Gonna lay down like a cow or a deer and like
We're just gonna, David. You can take a nap. It's okay. We'll just watch you. And
watch you sleep like
we'll
Sure.
wake you up in 10 minutes. It's okay. It's
It's
powered.
like,
You know that screenshots of David asleep would be all over Atcast. Like,
oh yeah,
Yeah,
he would look.
they would.
just
there
be
was
the most
one
hideous
where he was
pictures.
asleep where I think there was one a couple years ago where he was asleep on a couch or something.
Yeah, that's when we were filming stream. I went to go sleep because it was maybe about 7 o'clock in the morning and we had just wrapped and I'm waiting for everybody to the crew to pack everything up and stuff like that because they don't allow since when you're in SAG they're like, no, don't touch anything. I'm like, okay. So I'm just gonna go over here and take a nap.
I was never good with that rule as a kid. I touched everything.
No, so weird. It's so it's especially with me. I grew up doing like community theater, and so like that was part of things. Like once the play was over, you stayed and struck set with the rest of the crew.
Yeah.
And so like once I joined SAC, they're like, no, you're not allowed. If it's a union production, you're not allowed to, move even a light stand or anything like that. I'm like, okay, I don't want to get in trouble. Now I
That's
know
someone
like
else's
our
job.
guys don't care, but I'm like that's how it is now. I'm like, okay,
Because of a continuity thing.
yeah.
It's a continuity.
I mean, with an independent film, you really want to help out. You want to do everything
Yeah.
you can. It's all hands on deck kind of thing. And the studio movie, they're like those jobs, that's a union position, and you just have to follow those rules.
Yeah. It's just that's how it is. I think it's a lot of liability issues and stuff like that they worry about. So it's also those are also other union jobs usually. So it's like sometimes people get offended, like, hey, this is my job. This is what I'm paid to do. Don't be doing my job. I don't do your job for you. Type of thing.
Yeah, and in their defense too, because I see all sides of a filmmaker. They're highly trained in what they do, like an electrician on the set. You don't touch any of the cables because they're trained to do these jobs. And if anyone else does it or picks up a C stand, and they don't know how they're mechanically working, and they think they do, they could actually hurt someone too.
Yeah,
so
they really could. So that's why I'm just like, okay, I'm not touching anything. Time for a nap. So at the same time, I feel bad because I'm like, everybody else is working their butts off, and I'm over here going, I'm gonna have a nap.
Yeah, but at least they didn't draw penises or something on your face.
Oh, they probably would have eventually, because by the time I heard them taking the picture. So like right after they took that picture, because I heard the click, and my eyes were like, hi.
That would end up on social media somewhere after that. So.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Is that Jason Levy by any chance? He sounds like a
Oh yeah. Oh, they're a mischievous bunch, scamps. So yeah, it's an ongoing joke on set of Terrifier, especially like where anytime someone takes a nap, we take a picture of them. So there's so many pictures of like everybody on set taking a nap at some point.
Yeah,
you do a compilation of all the nap shots.
Oh yeah, I think they should. I think they should do that for like the DVD extras or something like that.
And that was how long was the shoot for Terrifier?
Oh, too damn long.
That's long.
Yeah, we started in 2019, like October 2019, like the end of October, and we were still. I mean, like it was supposed to be just a 3-month shoot, and we were still filming in mid-March of 2020, right when we went to lockdown. And of course, that delayed everything, and because we still had like the corner kill, and we still had to do Allie's bedroom scene and some other shots, like the final scene in the movie too, with the insane asylum. And so that was all just interspersed through the next year or so.
But
so,
it's great,
yeah, like
time to do it, and get what
you
want.
Oh, it gave us more time too. That was the weird thing, is like COVID gave Damien more time to sit there and actually revamp those kill scenes. Excuse me. Got choked on.
Don't die, David.
I'm good.
You have to do the next sequel first before that happens.
I know. Oh no, I had this horrible sinus infection right before I went to the UK back in October, and I still have a little bit of the remnants of it. It's just like it's because the weather here in New York keeps going hot, cold, rainy, sunny constantly, so it doesn't stay consistent. And I'm a human barometer. And so it just fucks with my sinuses. So it's just like I'm almost about to get over it, and then we get rain, and I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah, it's a gift that keeps on giving too.
Oh,
and we're in winter here in California. We're in our winter now, and my allergies are like off the charts here too.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna be out there Wednesday. I fly into LA for the premiere of Mean One, and then I'm there for a signing at Halloween Depot.
Oh, that's
weekend. Yeah,
that's welcome. Pre-welcome to Los
Angeles. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's a fun city. It's changed so much.
Yeah.
But since I grew up here, but I love it.
Oh yeah. Plus the weather's so much nicer. It's like cold and rainy today, and I'm like,
don't tell that to New Yorkers. Like my mom was a New York City gal, and she just loved the cold and the weather. And I know. And my dad wasn't like that. That's why they wanted to move to California.
I don't blame him.
Okay, I'm done with that.
Your dad's a smart man. He's smarter than I am, because I keep on like, I've been here 16 years, and like every time winter comes, I'm like, why do I live somewhere that makes my face hurt?
Right. It's, or Woody Allen said, he says, I want to move to, or what his friend says, in Annie Hall, he says, I want to move to a city where you can make, the only advantage is I don't want to move to a city where the only advantage is you can make a right on red or something.
Yeah.
I got that flubbed that one, but yeah,
That's
Annie
great.
Hall, so genius.
Yeah.
Oh, you go.
So yeah,
Yeah.
Fun
And here we
times.
are, all of us.
No, it's been really
Nazis.
cold here too. So yesterday it started out 53, so it was really nice here. And then later on in the day we had a cold front come through, and now it's like, in the, like,
Now we have to
Thirty?
talk about the weather at other places too. How's the weather in Scotland too, right now?
yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fine. Well, I'm in the Midlands in England, but it is 5 at the minute. So it's not that bad. Not really.
Yeah, that's good.
5.
Well,
Oh
done.
yeah,
Lucky
it's
one.
Celsius though. That's Celsius. So
We're all coming over, Scotty.
I don't
I'll segue into like haunting. So, like in Scotland, have you ever seen ghosts in your place? And
hell yeah, I've got some.
really, you have
Yeah.
like, do you have a
awesome.
regular bunch you feel all the time, or
So I've got 3 in my house. Like,
really?
3.
yeah, I talk to them.
That's cool.
What do they answer back though? That's the question.
Weirdly enough, one plays peekaboo with you when you're in the bathroom. I'm not shitting you.
Re-
See her.
Really?
Oh,
Like what
Oh.
happens?
So I said to Cricket, I don't know how far I want to go with this, but fuck it, we'll just. But
Go all
I
the way.
can
Yeah.
actually see stuff, and I've like predicted things, and I'm
Uh-huh.
a bit fucking weird. But I wouldn't say I'm like a psychic or anything, because every time I say it, I'm like, I feel
Yeah.
like a psycho. I'm like, oh god.
Oh,
What now? I'm so curious. What do they predict?
I predicted my ex's bike crash, and I was insistent that he wore gloves on this like motorbike, and the
Oh
doctor
God.
didn't wear the gloves because we had a fight about it that morning, and we actually had a fight about it. And the doctor said if he hadn't wore those gloves, he'd have lost his hand, like hand.
wow.
And then my friend, who I was doing like psychic development with, she was pregnant and she had a ghost on her stairs. And she didn't tell me about it, but I knew about it because she wanted to see if I could tell too. And I was just sat here one day. I told Crick about this. She was like, what the fuck? I was just sat here and I went, oh shit. And I picked up the phone and I was like, are you okay? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, just please be careful on the stairs. Didn't hear from her for 2 days. And she was coming downstairs holding laundry. And she said she felt this almighty push. And she actually came down the stairs and disjointed her pelvis. And I was like,
Oh,
Wow.
oh, it's proper creepy. Like I don't do it on purpose, but yeah, sometimes just things happen, and I'm like, yeah, shit.
Yeah.
Myself goosebumps.
there's so much we don't understand. I've had
Mhm.
bizarre experiences myself, so I feel you're.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
know. Oh, sorry, go on, David. It's okay.
Oh yeah. I have the weird ability anytime someone close to me is about to die or they die, I know right then when it happens. Like all my grandparents and my mom, I knew. It was just like it got to the point where it's just so common. Like when my dad's mom was about to pass away, we're at lunch that day, and I just had the feeling. I'm like, Dad, you need to go to the nursing home. After we're done here, you need to go there. And he's like, why? It's like she's about to go. He's like, what? Really? I'm like, yeah, I can feel it. And it's like you just need to be there. And so I went back with my sister to the house, and I was like cleaning some dishes later on, and I'm sitting there, cleaning dishes, and I just felt it, and I'm like, Grandma just passed away. And she's like, my sister like is so used to it too. She's like, oh no. And then like 2 minutes later, the phone rings. His dad. Grandma just passed away, and my sister's like, yeah, we already know. David felt it. It's just like,
And you do this. You've done this before too.
yeah, all my grandparents. And my mom is like, even though like when my mom died,
Mhm.
that day I had to go back to school because I went back to my hometown because I was still in college, and I went to say my goodbyes, and I
Mhm.
came back that day that she was, because her thing is she never wanted to die in my presence, and I had to go back to college and take a test that day,
Mhm.
and she passed away like 30 minutes after I left the house, but it's like I had basically put a dampener on myself just so I could focus on my tests and stuff like that. But as soon as the test is over, I felt it immediately. I was like, "Yep, she's gone." And then I get a call from my godmother too, just letting me know. It's like, oh, I know. And I was even walking across campus because like one of my friends like, come to my dorm. It's like you need not be alone. And I'm like walking over there, and I just felt like my mom's hand grabbed my hand when I was walking across the campus and stuff like that. And it was very, very weird.
You
But,
just
So
you know,
let me ask you guys, do you feel like with Scotty and David, do you guys feel like that's more of a gift or a curse then? Like knowing that you can predict what's gonna happen then, or you have feelings of what's gonna happen, do you think that's good or bad?
hey, I don't know. I don't. That's the thing, because it's like it's not a good thing or a bad thing at the same time. It's just a thing.
Yeah.
It's just like it's just a
part of
natural
your-
thing.
Part of you. That's what.
Yeah.
Do you just feel that with family or friends or anyone else? Can you feel
It's just been with people that are really close to me. I also had an experience too where like my buddy from college in high school, we were roommates in college, but he one of my good friends, stuff like that. I was driving home one day, and I just felt like my neck get really tight. I'm like, oh God, what's and I just had this voice in my head, and this is usually what it is a lot of times. It's just a voice in the head just saying something, and it's like call Chad, call Chad, call Chad, call Chad. And I'm like, I pulled over right there on the side of the road, called him, and he's like, he answered, he's like, what's going on? I'm like, and he sounded very distraught at the time. It's like, I just felt I had to call you, something's up, what's going on? He's like, he was apparently about to hang himself because
Oh God.
yeah,
Oh, David, I can't
yeah.
hear that right now.
And you
Yeah.
and he said, and you had that feeling. I have to
Yeah.
call him right now. And
Yeah.
talk to him.
Yeah, because it's like
Wow.
this horrible succubus of a witch that he dated when we were in college. You know, she was I never liked her, but she basically abused him in their relationship, not physically but mentally, and she
Sometimes worse.
bled him dry, and then they were engaged and everything. She broke off the engagement, left him and stuff like that. And just, all of a sudden she just called him up like the day before this happened. It's like, oh yeah, I just got married to this old rich guy.
Oh God.
And it's just like he just was boom, just
Yeah. So
because they had just broken up, and then that happened. And it's just like this is just way too much all at once. And it's just like geez. And it's just like and I'm glad, because who knows what will have happened. But it's just like, yeah,
Sorry,
it's
guys,
just
I'm
that
getting
feeling.
emotional.
Yeah.
you had that.
I can't
But
deal with hanging stuff. My
yeah.
brother, that's how my brother killed himself. He hung
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah, it's tough. I've lost cousins to suicide and stuff like that. I mean, I tried committing suicide a few times when I was younger too, when I was being bullied, and I almost attempted it after my mom died too, because I was just that was a rough time period for me. So I know how serious it is. So it's just like
That's why
I
that book from Sean Kotz, when I met you in Denver. He does so much stuff for mental health, suicide prevention, stuff like that. He donates so much of his money that he makes from his artwork to mental health and all that. And he's very, very dear friend of mine. And it's very, very, very. I don't even know the word I want to use right now because I'm all emotional. Sorry, need a minute.
It's okay.
Yeah,
We'll be here.
He's great though.
Yeah.
Definitely check out his artwork. Definitely check out what he's all about,
Mm-hmm.
because he does a lot for mental health, for suicide prevention, for all of that. So,
Which is good.
yeah.
It's tough. It's tough. It's just like, and I'm just glad I was able to be there for my friend, because it's like, who knows what would have happened. It's just like it but I know it's especially, yeah, but I know it's also, especially after my mom passed away, that's when I would get a lot more of those kind of feelings and stuff like that. It would be more like her voice in my head or something like that. So it's just like I'd have other like near-death experiences too growing up, where like there's like this all happened on like the same weekend too. It was like when I was in 8th grade, my youth group, we went on for spring break, we went to St. Simon's Islands in Georgia. And on the way there, the weather got really bad. And this is like right after my first grandmother had passed away, the one I was really, really close to. And we're on the way there. And I hear her voice in my head just going, David, 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 tell them to turn on the radio, tell them to turn on the radio, tell them to turn on the radio. And it just kept persisting. And I'm like, guys, I told my youth director, I'm like, please, I don't know why, but something's telling me we need to turn on the radio. And to turn on the radio, and it's like, everybody seek shelter right now. There's a tornado on the ground. And this is the Sunday they had, it was called the Palm Sunday tornado there in Alabama, where it went through this area and it hit a church, killed all these people in the church, and it just killed a lot of people. But like our bus would have been right in the trajectory of that tornado.
Oh my gosh.
And later on, we're at St. Simon's Island. We're on there's a rope course, and I love that kind of stuff. And I was very excited. And there was this one thing where you climbed up about 20, 30 feet up into this tree, and they had this big, huge log connecting the two trees. And of course, you had the rope system on there to hold you in place. So, but you walked across the log, and you walked back, and then you fell backwards. And of course, you just basically bungee jump off of it. And I was so gung-ho to do it. And I'm climbing, they had got me into the harness and everything like that. And it was actually a rope harness that we built. And I'm climbing up, and the further I'm going up the rungs, I'm hearing my grandmother's voice in my head, David, go back down. David, go back down right now. Go back down, go back down. And I'm like, and I'm up there, and I'm like, guys, I'm coming back down. I got a bad feeling. And they're like, what? Because, everybody knew how excited I was to do it. And I get back down, and they go to like unhook my harness, and the whole entire thing just comes right off. Just like,
Oh my God.
You knew you knew you had to come back down. And
yeah. It's like everybody was like, okay, we're done for the day. It's like,
you're the person you want to have on set. Like, you should move away from here, like lightning might hit. Like, I'll be like watching. You just know what's gonna happen.
Yeah. Also like it was the summer that my mom had died. We're down on Gulf Shores, Alabama. I'm with one of my friends' families for vacation. And the previous summer, no, it was that same summer, they had a lot of shark attacks out there. Like this one surfer had her arm bitten off by a shark and stuff like that.
Wow.
And I'm out there in the water, and I hear my mom's voice in my head, David, go back into land. David, go back into land. David, by this point in my life, I'm like, when I hear those kind of voices in my head, I've learned to just okay. I don't question it. I just do it. And I go back to the land, and I turn around, and I see this giant shadow of a shark just swim by where I had just been standing. And I'm like,
Jaws
okay,
swimming by.
Yeah. And so I go running back in. I'm like, shark, everybody get out of the water. Shark.
What was it? A great white? What was it? Do they know?
I don't know. But it whatever it was big.
See, that's why I will never go surfing, for that exact reason. I just I mean, no one. Hawaii, surfers are like, I just saw this tiger shark go by. I'm like, aren't you scared? Like, no, they're just doing their thing.
I think it probably was a tiger shark, though, because I think that's what had gotten that surfer that one day was a tiger shark too. So
they're just like, as they said in Jaws, they're just eating animals. That's all they do: eat and create new sharks. You know, I really believe in that. I subscribe to that philosophy about sharks.
Yeah, they're very basic creatures.
Yeah.
Well, most of the time too, when they bite somebody, like a real person, it's mistaken identity, or they're just doing what's called an investigatory bite, in which they're just trying to find out what the heck it is.
Yeah.
Like, they might think you're a seal, but
Especially like surfers, they mistake surfers for seals all the time because of board and all of that. So it's weird, but like that's the thing. I'm not a religious person, but I've never gone full blown atheist because I'm like I just think I've experienced too many things I cannot explain to totally just be like, oh no, there's nothing else out there. I'm just like, I just don't know. I think just right now science hasn't been able to explain all this kind of stuff.
I agree with that too. I mean, I would go to the even they talked about we're in a matrix. There's so many things
Mhm.
that make no sense that we can't make sense of now. That,
Yeah.
like you said, down the line we will be able to understand. You
Yeah.
know, and I always think about that quote from Aldous Huxley when he said, if God didn't exist, man would have created him. So we kind of need to think there is a superpower. If there wasn't a superpower, or just what are we doing here? What's the meaning of it all, and why does this happen? This chain of
I think I think it just scares people, the idea of just being alone in the universe, that there's not something in control of all of this. That's a terrifying concept to a lot of people.
It really is. I mean, it's true. But I hate quoting another. Remember that a line from Contact from the book, and he says, the little girl asks, like Jodie Foster's character says, are there aliens? Is it out there? And he says, and she says, I think to the degree she says, it'd be a whole waste of space if there wasn't.
Yeah.
I like to think there is, intelligent life or another form or being, and how could there not be?
Oh, I've seen so many UFOs in my life too, so I'm just like,
Yeah.
I haven't. I even lived in Colorado and I never saw anything. And I lived out in the countryside of the mountains, like the foothills of the mountains. I never ever saw
David,
anything.
what alien? What did you see? What UFOs did you see?
oh God, I like the first one I saw was like when I was a little kid. I was out in my backyard and I heard this weird humming sound and stuff like that, and all these lights. It was just like, because I was outside trying to get my dog back in because she was barking like crazy at something, and then it just went away. And that was weird. It's like my neighbor too was like, I heard that same thing last night. I don't know what that was. It's like we're just like, what the?
So was it in the sky? It wasn't like
It was like just got really bright outside. You just heard that humming sound. It was weird. It was weird. I can't describe the sound, but I can still hear it in my head. But even because I'm from Huntsville, Alabama originally, and that's where like NASA first started. So it's like, to me, it makes perfect sense that if there are any kind of like those kind of life forms, that they would probably be very interested in what's going on Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville, Alabama, with all the scientific advancements being made out there. I mean, there was actually an event that happened in my hometown, which it's really weird because he's like, you can't find any records of this because this happened back in the 70s. But like, because my grandfather worked on the original von Braun team. He was with the Army Missile Command when they brought all the Germans over with Operation Paperclip. He was basically, he was the guy that the military went to make things go boom, basically. So he was lieutenant colonel in the army and all that kind of stuff. So he had connections everywhere. And like my family, they lived on this on Montesano Mountain in Huntsville. That's where all the Germans also lived up there. That was just like a little community of them all. And my family's up there, and this triangular object flew over Huntsville very slowly with a bunch of lights on it, no sound, just flew over Huntsville. And no one knew what it was. And my whole entire family, this is before I was born, but it's like, my whole entire family saw this thing. And like my grandfather even called down there to the arsenal, was like, hey, are we testing something that I don't know about right now?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we don't know what this is either. Just try to stay calm, because no one knew. And then I mean, the city saw it, like this was just something everybody saw. And then, but there was never any mention in any of the newspapers or anything like that about it. They just shut it down. It was like, I guess the Men in Black came in and were like,
that's where Project Blue Book comes in.
I think people would be scared of something like, I could see that happen easily.
But so stuff like, I mean, I would see some objects in the sky sometimes in just daytime. It just moving in the sky in ways that none of our aircraft can move and stuff like that.
Was this all in Alabama too, in the same area?
Mostly, That probably the best one was right before I moved to New York. We had a blackout, and this is when my dad was starting to date the woman that I don't care about. But we went to go just sit out on the front porch, the three of us, because it's there's no light or there's no power, so we're just like, oh, let's just go out and enjoy the night sky. It was in the middle of the summer, and we got on the subject of UFOs and stuff like that. And she's like, well, I don't believe in UFOs because that's against the Bible and all. And she's like, and I'm like, whoa, hold on. In the Bible, it even mentions UFOs. Ezekiel's will is a description of UFO.
Do they actually mention UFOs in the Bible?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Plus, there's tons of artwork from way back then where they
Oh,
have
God.
things that look
It's-
like UFOs
Yes.
painted into the pictures.
Oh,
It
yes.
is really
And-
true. I'm addicted to ancient aliens. You know, it's
Oh,
true.
yeah.
Everything can be
Oh,
traced back to
and
ancient aliens.
this is what I was bringing up to her.
Mhm.
And this is like the most perfect timing in the world, because it's right when we're having this discussion. This light goes through the sky, this blinking light, and it's just doing all these like weird maneuvers. Like
Mhm.
none of our, it's just, and it stops, and it just goes,
Well, fuck.
Nope.
no sound whatsoever.
Mhm.
And she just is just sitting there like, and I'm like, you saw that, right? She's like,
Hmm.
yeah. I'm like, what do you think that was?
Did she really have an epiphany? Or she
Was that God?
No, she was like, I don't know. And then my dad was like, yeah, this is when my dad was a sane, rational person. He was like, yes, that's what we call an unidentified flying object.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean it's an alien, but
Yeah,
I've
it's like
I've
we
never
just
seen.
don't know what it is.
I want to see UFO so bad. I've never seen one. You
Oh,
know.
it's cool.
Yeah.
I had another moment when I was in Albuquerque on tour
Mhm.
with Grinch. I was going out. It was in between shows. I went to go get food and stuff like that, and I'm walking outside, and it was near dusk, and I see this. There was just like this sliver of light in the sky. I mean, you have the sun over here, but there's this like sliver of light in the
Yeah.
sky. You know, about good, like about maybe like a 35-degree angle away from the sun, so it's not caused by the sun.
Yeah.
But it's just there in the sky. To me, it looked like someone had stabbed a sword through a piece of paper, and you're seeing the light leaking through it.
I don't.
And I'm like, oh, that's weird. And I just made it like a mental note of the location of it. And I go in to get my food. About 50 minutes later, I come out, and I see that the light is still there in the same spot on the horizon. It had not moved at all. Even though so much of the rest of the horizon had moved, it was still in that same exact location. And so I took a video of it. I'm like, I'm going to record this because I'm like, this is weird. And all these other people outside are noticing it too. Everyone's like, what is this? I'm like, I know. And so I took a video of it and I put it on Facebook. And you could see it on this video. You could see it plain and clear. You know, I was showing the video, and I even had it on my phone. And then I was talking about this with people like a few years ago, and I'm like, I wonder if I saw that video. I want to show them the video. And I go and I tried to find it on Facebook. First of all, I found the video on Facebook, and all of a sudden you don't see the sliver of light at all in the video. And then I found my old phone, and I thought, well, let's see if I can find it on my old phone. And same thing with my phone. It's like it's no longer on the phone.
Ooh.
Like the video's there, but that sliver of light, which you could, and he knew that people saw it because they're all commenting on my video that they see this light in the sky too. So it is this like.
It makes you wonder how that happened. And I've always thought about the fact, you know, Elon Musk, you know, Mr. Twitter, but besides that point, he brought up one good point that, you know, we could be living in a matrix of some kind.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder how, like you said, how did the sliver was there, you shot it, you saw it on the phone,
Yeah.
and now it's gone.
People commenting about it, and then it's not there
Right.
on the video anymore. It
makes you wonder, like,
clear sky.
the powers that be that control our quote unquote matrix that we're all in, decided, you know, we got to alter that. We got to change that out. You know?
It's just weird. It's so weird. I was like, I mean, is it aliens? I don't know. It was just something I couldn't explain. I find it just extremely fascinating. But that's going back to the ancient aliens. That's where I actually think that the idea of gods first came from. It was a superior, you know, ancient race that came down, you know, and to primitive man, you know, advanced technology would seem like magic or godly powers to them.
Or you know, and perhaps it's even, I'll throw this in there, perhaps it's even us from the future, like we've time
Yeah.
traveled back and we're altering our own destiny and we're here. Because
Yeah.
they did say, you know, in theory, time travel is possible. You know,
Yeah.
they said. Well, I think they did it like the accelerator. They sent back leptons, which are
Yeah.
and if you, according to, you know, Einstein, if you fasten the speed of light, you're in theory those particles are going back in time. So who's to say
Yeah.
we, with skilled technology, 1,000 years in the future, we don't have that ability? You
Yeah.
know.
But at the same time, I look at it, it's like if we go back in time, we don't, you know, like you would have to go back in time to like a recent period of time and not like for more than like 50, 60 some odd years, because of just diseases. It's like the things you could pass on to other people or they could pass on to you that you don't have immunity to. It's just like those the kind of things. Like, yeah, it's like I imagine like if we went back to like, you know, 1,000 years ago, it's like we could kill so many people just by breathing, just like, you know, what happened to Native Americans with smallpox and stuff like that. And the same thing could happen to
Or
us.
with the Spanish flu.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, you'd have no
With COVID.
Yep.
What happened to that?
Exactly.
Like we're
COVID,
saying.
exactly. Yeah. It's just
It's
like
really
that's the,
true.
yeah, it's just those are the things you don't think about when you think of time travel. It's just like, oh yeah.
Or perhaps if we are from the future, people come back, they actually took that into account and they're like, you know, you can't spread, we can't go to these places, or they're
Yeah.
protected in such a way because we can not only alter the future, alter the whole landscape with our bacteria, with these diseases that
Yeah.
are yet to be known, you know.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It is really true. It's so interesting to think about.
Oh yeah. It's just
That's
it's
what, you
so
know,
many things. Who
that's
knows?
what they said, you know, speaking of that, you remember when we went to the Waverly, you know, sanitarium and we
Mhm.
saw, you know, at first we saw things that I honestly,
Yeah.
I couldn't explain what was going on. And they brought up one interesting point. I remember what they said. They said, we said, these ghosts, what are they? They said it could be an interdimensional moment. This
Yeah.
could be a crossroads in that what you're seeing, you're not seeing ghosts, you're seeing kind of a parallel reality and this
Yeah.
interdimensional like landscape where the things are kind of interconnecting in
Mhm.
that place. And that's like, I remember it was one thing we saw in the hallway. There were these like shadowy kind of curtainish like capes that were fluttering around underneath the
Yeah.
doorway. And I asked them, and they didn't tell us ahead of time. And they said, "What is that?" And they said, "Oh, those are the quote unquote shadow people."
Yep.
You know. And I always wonder, like, and I saw that, and we all saw it. And
Oh yeah. Saw so many of those.
yeah.
I'm
Even
gonna
if
raise my
Especially-
hand like in school. Did you
Yeah.
guys ever experience doppelgangers? Because that's
Oh.
also a huge thing with Waverly Hills, is that people see doppelgangers a lot.
Wow.
I didn't experience. We didn't, as far as I know, we didn't experience any doppelgangers
I
there.
didn't have any of that.
Yeah, but there's something I want to go back to about Waverly Hills in a second, though. But like speaking of doppelgangers, a few years ago here in my apartment, because we have weird stuff that happens in my apartment. Like my roommate Mike, he does not get weirded out very easy. He's a bouncer. He's a tough guy. He's seen a lot of stuff. I come home one day from like grocery shopping. I've been out doing errands for about an hour or so, and I come home and he's at the kitchen table and he like jolts when he sees me. He's like, "Wait, what? I'm like, "You okay, man?" He's like, "You're just getting back now. Like, how long you been gone?" I'm like, "I've been gone for like well over an hour." He's like, it's like, "No, wait, because just about 15 minutes ago, I saw you walk past me. You were wearing an orange shirt and you walked past me and you went to the bathroom
Oh,
and you
wow.
shut the door." And I was like, I was waiting for you to get out of the bathroom and I was getting impatient because you just weren't coming out. And I knocked on the door and I go in there and I open the door and no one, you're not in there. And
Oh
like
my
this,
God.
and I'm
that was
like,
scary.
no. It's like, first of all, like I only have one orange shirt at the time. The only orange shirt I had was my button-up Joker shirt that I only used for cosplay.
So what? So wow. So maybe it was
Yeah.
like a flux in the matrix or some.
Yeah. It was weird because I mean, he said I even acknowledged him, like, you know, nodded my head to him and all. Then I walked in. I'm like, whoo, I'm glad I wasn't here for that. because you're not supposed to see your doppelganger.
No, because you're supposedly supposed to die.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, I'm glad I wasn't home for that.
No kidding.
Yeah. But he does not get weirded out, and he was freaked out about that.
And he normally isn't, doesn't bothered by those kind of things.
No, because we have ghost stuff happen here all the time. So it's like we're so just like, Matilda did that today, Matilda did this today, that kind of stuff. So it's just like that's what we call her.
Level,
Yeah.
Okay, so David, wasn't it on a live podcast that you did? And I don't remember which one.
Oh yeah.
Tell us which one it was, where you're on this live podcast, and then all of a sudden you heard a knock at your door.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I remember listening to it. I remember you being like, okay, hang on, I got to go answer my door, and nobody's there. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah. I was actually talking about all the ghost stuff that had happened in my apartment when this happened too, which was really weird. And I'm like, because both my roommates were gone at the time. And I'm sitting here. Okay, now my cat's looking at the door like there's someone outside the door. This is weird.
There could be. Now that we're talking about ghosts.
Yeah, weird, right?
Yeah.
Make an appearance now.
Yeah. But I'm like, okay, I'm just trying to say, okay. Why is she
Is
staring
Kitty
at the door?
okay?
Yeah. I'm not kidding. She's like, oh, now she's looking at me, but yeah.
And she's like,
Aw.
Yeah.
oh, look at
Yeah, but like I was sitting here and I just hear this pounding on the door, like this rapid, like someone was in a sense of urgency, like they needed in, and I was like, I'm sorry. And I live on the 3rd floor, so like you can hear people going up and down the stairs all the time. And I go to answer the door. There's nobody there outside the door, and I would have heard someone go back down the stairs and exit in that time period. And I was like, that's so weird. But you do hear the knock on that recording and stuff like that. It's
and there was
loud
no
and
one
clear.
there.
There was nobody there. It was just like, that's weird.
Are you the top floor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, in New York City, I actually lived in a townhouse that was built in the 1870s as a little boy. And I always, when I was like 5 or 6 years old, I always heard people walking up the stairs. And I asked my parents about it, and they're like, no, it's just a house settling. But to this day, I still know, and I felt it, that people were creeping up the stairs. And I had this little playhouse that was in my bedroom. I always felt there was someone inside that room sitting there, like watching me, observing me.
Yeah.
And it was terrifying. And lo and behold, my parents didn't want to freak me out because I was kind of a sensitive kid. It turned out they told me it was a whorehouse from after the Civil War. This townhouse we lived in. And there was one room, and my dad's like Mr. Wall Street, Mr. Tough guy, not scared, but like your roommate is not scared pretty much by anything.
Yeah.
And there was one room that had red velvet walls that was left over from when it was a whorehouse.
Yeah.
And the temperature, even my father commented on this, the temperature would always drop, no matter what it was in New York City. In the height of the humid summer, this room was freezing cold, where the rest of the house was hot too.
Yeah.
No one could explain that, so yeah, there are ghosts in Manhattan, definitely.
Oh yeah. There's no doubt. But going back to Waverly Hills,
yeah,
the thing I thought was the coolest thing was, when he our guide sent you down the hall, and we had that shadow
tunnel.
No, we were just on like one of the
3rd floor or something.
The 3rd floor or something like that. And he's like, I just want to do experiments. Like, who's brave enough to go down the hall right now by yourself? And Oliver's like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So he goes down the hall,
and
and he had commented he was seeing some shadow people down the hall from us, but in between us, a shadow person had manifested on the wall.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess that's because that's when he said to you, come back.
I'm glad you tell me that. Wow.
Yeah. But then he goes, our guide goes in the middle of the hallway. It's like, I want to experience. This has only happened a few times. I want to see if it's going to happen again. He goes out into the middle of the hallway, extends his arms, and slowly walks towards it. He's like, guys, watch what happens around me. And we saw that shadow person come off the wall and go behind the guide. And you just saw like and this is in pitch black, but you still see this darker blackness manifesting behind him. And it just gets closer and closer to him. You just see his whole silhouette just expand, and you see it go right through him. Then we felt this like cold gust go through all of us.
It was was very odd. I had never experienced anything like that before. For me, I was a very freaky. I was literally in shock for a week after I left that place too.
Yeah.
I had the shakes, and I was like, I just couldn't put it together. I didn't understand what was happening. You know.
Yeah.
I remember
It was
you
so
told
cool.
me someone was. I remember you were in shock. Someone was whispering in your ear on, at some point.
Yeah, I was turning around a corner and I just heard someone just like right in my ear, and
It's
I'm
your
like,
kitty.
yeah.
He's comforting you.
It wasn't Scotty or I, so
Yeah. It was so weird. And there was another time too, where like he was explaining, like we had just gone up to one of the halls and we're outside the hall and he's talking to us, and you heard this like voice behind him for a hot second. We're all just like, He's like, yeah, I heard that too.
so
I
would
remember
that be the
on one
most
of the floors, I felt like someone had the vice around my head, like someone
Oh,
was
wow.
grabbing my head as tight as they could, and I couldn't
Wow.
really breathe. Yeah, it's a bizarre place. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
a vortex of paranormal activity. It really is.
Yeah. Just so much stuff happened there. I was like, this is, and he was even like, oh, this is actually a tame night compared to a lot of them. I'm like, this is crazy. Hey,
I'm glad I wasn't there on active night.
Yeah. So what would you guys say would be the most terrifying
Sorry.
thing that happened to you during that investigation? Would that be it?
I would say that just seeing, I mean, nothing really terrified me, but I would say that just seeing that shadow person come off the wall and walk right through the guide and then go through us was just kind of like, whoa.
Yep. No
It's
thanks.
just, for me, it was because I've experienced things, hauntings and where I've lived, but nothing to that degree. So it was kind of, in a lot of ways, for me, it was a wake up call. These things exist, and confirmation that all of us are feeling it and seeing something. And I guess in my mind, I know it exists. The question is, what is it, and can it be explained? And and that's when they brought up the fact. They said, this might be an interdimensional kind of thing. They also mentioned, I remember this too, that they said NASA actually came out there to run tests. I'm not sure what the results of those tests, but there's so much activity that they wanted to know what was going on there. So it's just a question of what is causing that. And I'm sure it can be explained one day, and there's dimensional realities that this is going on, and this is what it really was. It's not quote unquote ghosts,
Yeah. It could be a lot of things. But I even thought it's just like time folding in on itself. They're like, it's like what we could be seeing is just something from a different time period, and those time periods are just merging together for a hot second, because that might be it. It's like that's what ghosts are, or just like a different time period just merging through our time period. I don't know.
Or
Yeah, a lot of
I always think possibly, I was thinking about it too, and I was thinking maybe, it's like a blast from a radioactive bomb. It leaves an imprint. Energy leaves an imprint, and possibly maybe this is an imprint of those people. Who's to say that's not a shadow or an imprint from someone from that period? And the energy is so intense, somehow it's intercepted in this place where you can feel it, you see it, and it's there. Somehow. I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't scare me per se. It might like startle me when I'm not expecting it, but it doesn't scare me. Because I look as like whatever it is, it's not trying to hurt me. It's just if it has some kind of cognizant consciousness or something like that, it's trying to let itself be known, but it's not trying to hurt me. I've only had one moment where I felt something was bad. And that was when I was up in Providence, Rhode Island on Torque Ranch, because theaters are always haunted, I've discovered. And so I like to, when I go to a new theater, I like to explore and see if I sense anything, or, I like to hear all the stories and stuff like that. And my roommate and I, at the time, we were exploring throughout the theater. And there's this room next to the light booth. And I stepped 1 foot in that room, and every single sense in my body was going off about danger. It's just like the hairs on my neck just went pound. I just had the voice in my head going, "Don't go in, don't go in, don't go in, don't go in." It was just like this overwhelming sense of just danger, and I'm like, And I didn't say anything. I just stepped back out. I'm like, Jason, go in there. And he had this exact same experience. He couldn't even walk in. He's like, whoa, there's something bad. I'm like, yeah, you felt that too. Okay. And we had other people from our tour come up, and we were just, everybody had that same reaction. Like, go in there, because we wouldn't tell people. Just like, go into this, go in this room. Everybody was like, there's something bad. I got the creeps of that room. I'm like, yeah, okay. It's just not us. Okay, cool.
It's like
And we asked him, and we're like, the people in charge of the theater, it's like, the room next to the light booth, and like, yeah, no one goes in there. I think there was like, I think there was like a murder suicide or something that happened in there, and they're just like, yeah, everybody has bad feelings about that room. I'm like, it just felt like, that's the only time I felt like there was something evil in a room, just evil. I'm like, something, I could get hurt going in here.
Yeah, I've had that same experience too. Actually, I lived in this house in Studio City, and that's it's near Universal in California. And there was one room in this house no one wanted to go into. Every girl I dated at the time was afraid of this room, and lo and behold, I kind of ignored it. I didn't want to really think about it at all. I bought this house as a foreclosure, and I guess the law of the land is you don't have to reveal what happened in this house. It turned out these two ladies were held captive in this house, and SWAT showed up, and the guy killed himself outside that window. And it sounds like a horror, but this actually really happened, and I didn't want to believe it. And it was like a scene out of a film. I was getting ready to leave after living there for several years, and my neighbor said, "Hey, Oliver, do you know what happened at your house?" I'm like, "No," and then he told me the story. And I really didn't know. My friends investigating, and I guess there was a little article in the LA Times about this incident that occurred. And I was always thinking, that room was always so eerie after all, it was the darkness, a dampness, a feeling, so whatever that was, that night where it happened, it obviously left an imprint, of some kind.
Is your place currently haunted?
Yes,
because I keep seeing weird things sometimes.
No, that's at the shadow.
Light.
Yeah,
like light stuff happening around you sometimes.
Well, this house, this house is from 1924, and things you feel things. People have had.
So, was that someone? Okay, that's reflections. Okay, never mind.
That's just reflections, but
okay.
There's ghosts with you right now.
Yeah, there's things flying around. No,
yeah.
No, actually, this house. I mean, whether you believe it or not, there's like odd things that go on. Like, people I've dated have had their ponytails grabbed when they've been on ellipticals. She woke up once with an imprint was on her hand, and the fingerprints didn't match my hand. I was thinking maybe in my sleep I grabbed your arm, I had a nightmare, but they didn't match my hand, and we never could figure this out.
Weird.
Yeah, we've had, and you feel, and whether you believe it or not, you feel people watching you, or a presence of some kind.
Yeah.
And we were once having I was once having work done on the kitchen floor, and the contractor was there, and I don't think he wanted to admit that he saw something, because he looked spooked. And I said, "What?" And he said, "What's wrong?" And he looks up, and he comes up with an excuse, and he says, I just saw a reflection in the glass there. I'm like, "Sure." And I said, "It's okay." I didn't want to tell him, but I said, "It's okay. We know what you're feeling, what you're seeing, because it happens here." And you just feel like you're being, and the house is, for California standards, this is an old place. It's 100 years old. So you feel presences, you do feel people watching you from afar. I don't know how to explain, and that kind of, and I don't feel it in other places I've lived at all.
Yeah.
It's not like I find ghosts everywhere I live and I'm spooked by everything, but this, the house is 100 years old, and things probably happen here.
Yeah.
Not only that, but in California, a lot of people were shanghaied back in the day. A lot of people were shanghaied and made to forced to work on the railroad and stuff.
Yeah.
By the Chinese people.
Not probably out here, but there's so many other things. This is an old part of California. I mean, this is a rural kind of zone, and there's a lot of history going on out here.
Especially in San Francisco, I've been there quite a few times.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of Shanghai going on.
Yeah. It's
That happened like in Oregon or Washington. You know, you
Oh.
go get drunk and you end up on some ship out in the Pacific. You know.
yeah.
Yep.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's I also had like, going back to the whole thing about sensing things. It's like I can always walk into a location and tell when it's haunted too. I'm just like, there's something here. And I can usually tell which room too. I'm just like, yeah, this is where stuff happened. Like a good example of that is like there's a place called Blood Manor here in New York City that's a haunted house. And it's like actually it's the building that Lincoln had his portrait made for the $5 bill. That's where that portrait was made. But I was like, hey, one of my friends worked in it, and so I went on a tour of it during the daytime, and there, she didn't even tell me this place is haunted. But and we're back in one room. I'm like, ooh, this room's kind of eerie. I'm like, something's here. I was like, and they're like, oh yeah, this is a haunted room. We have a lot of activity happens to them. I'm like, okay. And there's another part, at that point they're like, okay, this place is haunted. There's another part where near a furnace, and I'm like, this area right here has a lot of activity. I can just tell there's something weird here. It's just a feeling I get. I just like the hackles on my neck go up and stuff like that. I just get this, the temperature seems to be a little bit off there too, and I'm just like, something's here. And they're like, oh yeah, we get a lot of activity here too.
No, it's bizarre how, and I hate to say it, but as artists, we're sensitive to those kind of things. We're open to it.
Yeah.
Like anyone can feel it, but if you're kind of open to that reality, it's you see it. You're not.
I think that's part of it. Yeah, I think you have to be more open to the idea of the paranormal to experience it more.
Yeah, I agree.
So did anything ever happen to you guys during filming? You, David, for Stream or Terrifier 2, you, Oliver, for Poltergeist, of course, because of course there's the Poltergeist curse that
Oh yeah.
So I'm kind of wondering about your guys' thoughts on that. Did anything ever happen during that time?
I don't. Do you want to answer?
I'll let you go first because I'm curious.
Oh no, nothing,
I know, right?
nothing ever happened on the sort of Poltergeist. It was such a great set. We were family. It was the most amazing set ever. And I'm the first one to think about like conspiracies or a curse or whatnot. And honestly, there was nothing bizarre. There's no Omen like moment where some weird sword flies out of the sky and kills someone. Everything is so explainable, and they're just tragic. And awful things that happen after the fact. Like Julian Beck, fine New York City actor, theater actor. He was, and people say, well, he died. Well, he was dying of cancer before he even did Poltergeist. And it was so wonderful. And he was so happy on the set because he was doing what he loved, even though he knew he was going to die. So for me,
Hay. He was dying of cancer. And same with Sid Hay.
Yeah.
He knew that.
He was dying of cancer when he did what?
3 from Hell.
Yeah. 3 from Hell. Yeah.
So these people were getting to do what they love, and Julian was seemed so happy.
Oh, he was so good. He was so good.
Yeah, he was genius.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I really don't believe there really is a curse, because I think every event is kind of explainable, and and nothing happened on the set that doesn't happen on any other set,
And you're still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I am. So,
Exactly.
I know. And Joe Beth and Craig are still alive, and we're all well, so
It's just, I'd always wondered since I knew that they had actually used actual dead bodies.
Yes.
They supposedly
That's what I was
did.
going to ask you too. Did Spielberg actually use real human skeletons to save money?
They did.
It's been rumored.
I mean, I asked them I was a little boy, and they were always playing with me a little bit. So I said, "Hey, those skeletons?" Like, yes, they are, Oliver. And I'm like, yes, look at it this way. It's sort of like for like a medical school. They, you can buy skeletons. Yeah. At the time, the studio's buying them, and they doctor them up too.
Okay.
So it was. I'm sure that doesn't bring. I'm sure that's a little eerie and weird. But it was strange. But it's funny as a kid, you kind of accept these things. Like they tell me,
you're like, that's cool.
That's great. Yeah, skeletons. That's awesome. That works.
Yeah.
Today you're like, Oh my God, there are actual skeletons. Those are real people
Yeah.
that have lives
Yeah.
and dreams, and now they're part of your movie as just a prop. It's very odd, you know.
It's very
I
much
love it. I love it.
creepy.
Now we had stuff happen, I think, on both sets for Terrifier though. It's like,
Wow.
yeah, I remember like on Terrifier 1, I would like in that horrible warehouse we shot in Trenton, New Jersey. That place I think was being used as a chop shop or something like that. It was just,
Yeah.
that was not set dressing. That place was as nasty as it looked in the movie. But I remember just seeing a few shadow people and stuff like that. And but it was, what was really weird was like in the outhouse of the little porta potty we had. Like one night I was in it and I noticed there was like it looked like someone had kissed the mirror in there, and I'm like, the fuck? Because they're like lip prints on the mirror, and I'm like, this is weird. And I'm like, who would the hell would kiss the mirror in a porta potty?
Art.
And I asked everybody on set, like, you didn't do, like, everybody's like, yeah. I mean, I don't know if that was a ghost or not. I just thought that was weird. But on part 2 though, first of all, there's like one of the locations we filmed in the house scenes, a lot of the house scenes was in this place upstate New York in Canajoharie, and it was a house that was also used as a youth retreat and stuff like that. And the priest that ran it all died in that house and stuff like that. I was one day everybody's on set. I was by myself in the house and I was downstairs using the bathroom, and I heard someone walking up above, and I was like, oh, someone came in. But I never heard the door, because the door we had going there, it would slam shut all the time. So you always knew when someone would walk in, but I never heard him. I was like, well, I'm like, okay, I'm going to see who's here. Because I'm like, I didn't even think of the ghost at the time. I was like, I'm just going to go see who's and explore the whole nobody. And I'm like, that's weird. But I distinctly heard someone just walking around upstairs. I'm like, but it's an old priest that passed away in the house. So it was just like, that's fine. Whatever. You sometimes see a door open or close or something like that in there too. But what the real weird one was when we were at Fright Factory in Philadelphia, where we filmed the big climax of the film. Like it started off one night with George, our DP. He's trying to like set up a shot, and he just starts yelling at our producer, who's not there at the time. He's further off set, but he's like, Phil, stop walking in front of the camera. And like, I'm seeing all this happen. Like, George, there's no one walking in front of the camera. He's like, yes, someone keeps walking in front of the camera. I'm trying to set this. They keep blocking the camera. I'm like, dude, there's nobody walking in front of the camera right now. It's like I've been watching this whole thing. No one's been walking. But it's like I swear. And it's like no one is walking in front of the camera. It's okay. It's like, well, I don't know what it is. And then later on, we're filming, and it's where Lauren comes up behind me with the club when I'm tormenting her little brother. She's sneaking up behind me. That there's a door. At the time, the door needed to be closed or something like that, or something had to be done with the door, and because it was not in a position it needed to be in, and they're like, hey, someone go close the door, and Lauren and I are both getting up to turn to close the door or whatever, and then it just shuts itself.
Oh my God.
And we're like, well, okay, thank you.
Yep.
We're like, y'all saw that, right?
At least they saved you from having to get up and cut it yourself.
But the weirdest part, because how this place is like, it's so big and massive that it has its own different power grids in there, so that you can turn the power on for different parts of the haunt, depending where you need the power to be on. And so since we're only using certain locations in there, we would turn the power on and off for the locations we need power on. Well, there's this one, you see in the movie, the room with all the dolls.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that room is creepy enough because of all these fucking dolls in that room. I did not like that room, and I got skeezed out by that room. It's like that room, I even had the feeling like something's not right in this room. It's like, I don't like this room. I tried to avoid that room like the plague, because I just did not like that room. And we had the power turned off to that room, and there was this one doll in that room, and you see it in the movie too. It's this doll in a swing, and it's motion sensors on it. So like in the haunt, somebody walks by, it starts swinging and starts playing this little song and goes, come play with me. It's very creepy. It's a very creepy doll. But we turned off the power to this whole part of the haunt, and we're filming the bathroom scene with the scene with Kaylee and Lauren, and we're in the middle. The whole entire cast and crew's on set. We're filming, and then it's maybe like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and we hear that doll go off in the other room.
Oh.
And I'm like, that's impossible. Even like one of the workers there, he's like, that's not possible. There's no power.
Motion censored. It's not electrically.
Yeah, but there's also not power in there to make that thing even turn on.
Did you ever debunk it? Or was it debunked? Like
we tried. We investigated to see if there was power to the room. Like, nope, there's no power going to this room right now. It's just like, but like the guys that work there, it's like, oh yeah, stuff happens in that room all the time. That's normal.
Oh, that is so eerie.
So I'm like, first of all, they had to have power to the room to make that even go off, but also something had to walk by that thing to set it off, and no one was in that area of the haunt. So it's just like, that was that one creeped me out, because I was like, it's just hearing, because I it's something about ghosts of kids always
was the crew
out, dolls and all that, just oof.
Was the crew like creeped out too after that?
Yeah, everybody was creeped out. Everybody's like, no.
So did you guys ever investigate the 5th floor of Waverly Hill, which was the which was the children's ward? Did you guys go up there?
Yeah, yeah, that's the room where they have the ball and everything, right?
Yeah. Was that the person? Was that the floor where the nurse hung herself? The doctor hung himself?
I'm not sure if that was the same floor or not. I'd have to look.
I can't remember.
Yeah. So what happened with the nurse is that she was a nurse working there, and unfortunately, she contracted tuberculosis while working there, as much as the doctors and everybody else did that were working with the patients. And you know, it's got to be so heartbreaking knowing that you have tuberculosis and now your unborn child has it. So the sad part about it, as rumored, is that it was an abortion gone wrong with her, and they found the fetus down in a well.
Oh.
Yes, I don't know how much truth is to the urban legend of it, but yeah, I'm not sure.
There's so many spirits and weird things going on there. It's like it's a cavalcade of like hauntings. It's such an intense place to be and visit.
Well, with that story, we went to that room that we didn't know it at the time, but our tour guide, when we all got in the room, he's like, okay, everybody, no one move from the spot you're standing in right now.
Right.
And he's like, okay, why? And he's like, okay, everybody just take note where you're standing. And we had all made a circle around this one area, like no one was standing in this one area. And he's like, this is why I told you just to stop. It's just because, like, he says, no one ever stands in the spot where she hung herself. That was true. That was bizarre. I mean, we had all just avoided that spot.
Did you feel any, like, could you feel any sort of like, oh no, I don't want to stand there?
No, it was a subconscious thing. Everybody just, when we all walked to that room, everybody just avoided that one area. And it's like in the middle of the room too. So there was no way that, there's no reasonable way that everybody would just, okay, you would think at least with the group that we had, at least one person would be standing in that area.
Yeah, but that's the least of the things that were going on there, though. That was an intense. I mean, I've been in haunted places, but I've never experienced anything quite as intense as that, too.
No, just so many different things happening that night. That's what I thought was so cool. It's just like,
and the photos they showed us too. Like, I mean, we didn't see this, but they actually showed us photos with people outside, like on the 3rd floor, looking in, and you're like, how did that happen? You know, and I don't believe the photos were doctored at all.
No, because these were like actual photos from people's phones and stuff like that. It's just like, like that one where you do see that person looking in, and it's like, we're 3 floors up. There's no way anybody's outside that window. Yeah, you're wondering, is that a reflection of the glass? And it wasn't. And that's also why I walked down the hall. I wanted to know. I didn't care. I figured, what's the worst that could happen to me? You know? Yeah. That's why I walked down the hall, and I wanted to see what was going on. And there are no lights from the street. People are like, well, maybe it was a reflection of lights coming. There is no street. There are no lights.
There's
No,
nothing.
it's on a hill by itself. It's just like there's no way you're getting car lights coming through and doing any of
Right.
that kind of stuff.
That's what I was looking for, because I wanted to really debunk this. I
Mhm.
wanted to, oh yeah, this is a game, and they,
Yeah.
or I was thinking possibly they know we're actors in horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
They want to do this, it'll be fun. It'll be good
Yeah.
PR. At the end of the day, and the thing is, they were the I remember at the beginning of the tour, they told us nothing. They just
Yeah.
took us on the tour, and anything they didn't say you might see the following event, and then it was like premeditated, or it was in our mind, going
Yeah.
in. They said
It's
nothing.
like we didn't even talk about the shadow people until I mentioned. I'm like, because like I tried not to say it out loud, so I just leaned over to the tour guide. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know anybody, but I keep seeing people. And he's like, oh yeah, those are the shadow people. Yeah,
And-
that's when he told everybody, because and other people's like, oh, I've been seeing them too. I just didn't want to say anything.
That was me. I thought it
Yeah.
was so insane. I don't like, yeah, I'm seeing ghosts fly around and shadows flying. I didn't want to say until it was like, but we were
Like
all seeing,
heads poking in a doorway, just like
Yeah.
like someone's like looking out and just going back in.
yeah.
And it's weird because it's pitch black,
Mhm.
but you can still see like there's like another blackness to the black.
Yes, the shadow
black.
people are
Yeah.
always darker than the
Yeah.
darkest areas.
It
That's
is-
what's
Yeah.
crazy about them.
It's weird because you could see the outline within this the blackness of it. It is
Yeah.
really it's strange. I don't know,
Mhm.
but we all saw it, and and NASA showed up.
Yep.
So that
Mhm.
place definitively has things going on.
Oh yeah, there's been so many investigations in that place, and there's so much stuff that's been recorded. I mean, without a doubt, there's something strange going on there.
I
Yeah.
would love for you guys to come to the Villisca Axe Murder House with me sometime.
Oh
That,
yeah,
that place is
Is it-
insane too.
Is that haunted?
And oh,
I
it's
don't know
one of
anything
the
about
most
it.
haunted places. I've had my own experience with it.
That's
It's
cool.
pretty messed up,
Did
and
you-
the murders are still unsolved. It was a family of 8,
Oh
and
wow.
no, sorry, a family of 6, and then 2 neighbor kids that they had spending the night with them. They were all killed one night by an axe murderer. Killed them all with
That's
an
bad
axe.
timing to be
Still
there that
unsolved.
night.
Yep. Yeah.
God.
And
Ah.
I've
Yeah,
had, yeah,
Yeah.
it's insane.
Yeah, I'm looking at the photos of the Waverly Hills behind you, Cricket. And I'm
Yeah.
like, it's
I
like
know. I saw
it's
that.
like
I was like, that's
like that shows you right there. Those are the like the windows and stuff like that. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
there's no way anybody could have been outside of those windows looking in.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
see how
look
high up
at
on the
3
ground they are.
floors up.
and it was like on the
No
third
way.
floor. I remember too that
Yeah.
that photo
Yeah.
they showed us.
Yeah.
And you're like, how did this happen? It's just
Right.
and you have it, and it's a distinct. It's not just like a reflection. There's no question. There's a face looking through
Yeah.
that window.
Very distinct face. It was like a woman's face.
Yeah. That's what made it so eerie too.
Yeah.
And it's funny when I was like, that really made me more of a believer than ever before because
Mhm.
instinctually I'm like I want to question it. But when I was at film school at USC, there was a movie called Fire in the Sky, and they
Mhm.
have
Oh yeah.
Yep.
USC has people from the crew, and they want actual directors and whatnot. And this time they had the people that were taken up by the aliens, and they were physically. So they interviewed them, and we all, whether these guys are lying or not, they were believers. Whatever happened to them, they were damaged now from those events. And I remember we were all film school students. We asked them a lot of questions, and we all left thinking we're believers that they were abducted or someone took them or something happened to them.
Yeah.
And see, one thing you guys gotta keep in mind too, because I am a former paranormal investigator.
Mhm.
So it's the people that are genuinely freaked out and scared and cry, and they just have so much emotion about the experiences they have, rather than the ones that are like, oh yeah, I saw this ghost. Those ones that have the genuine fear in them are the ones that are the most believable. Like you can really
Mhm.
understand what
Mhm.
they're going through
Yeah.
as far as
You're empathetic to their experience,
Yeah.
because you experience these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also cool to have those experiences with a group of people too. So it's
Yeah.
not just you have other people can vouch for what you saw and experienced. It's like that was the thing. It's like I'm not the only one experiencing this. We're all experiencing the same thing at the same time. So it's like,
And it's, there is no power of suggestion because you're all experiencing independent of each other. And then we made the confirmation after the fact. It wasn't like
Yeah.
someone pointed and said, look at those shadows, and go, oh yeah, I see them too.
yeah,
It was, we saw them, we didn't talk about it, and then
Yeah.
it was, oh yeah, I saw the
So
same, and you felt like you're not crazy. You
Yeah,
just
it's not just a figment of mass hysteria.
exactly. Or
Yeah.
your eyes are adjusting the darkness. You think you're seeing something that's not really there. We all have
Well,
that same.
Well, it's like when the whole thing went with our guide walking down the hallway and that whole thing. It's like he even told us not to say anything until afterwards. So
Yeah.
we weren't influencing. It's like everybody was totally silent when that whole thing happened. And it wasn't until after it happened, we're all like, whoa, 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 whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to go back there now. I mean, I just want to
Yeah.
get confident. I don't know. It's like I'm like somehow I'm pulled to that place. I want to see it again to see if what I really
Oh, I
saw.
will gladly go
See,
back.
that's not good either, Oliver, because when you start getting pulled to a place more than once, it's influencing you to come back. There's something
Oh, that's
there that's
interesting.
trying to pull you back in. So that cannot be good either. Just be
You
cautious.
don't think it's just curiosity? It's like, hey, I just want to see.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's worth an
I don't know.
addiction. It's like I gotta go back there. You know?
I had a place in
Yeah.
Scotland called Coodham Estate, and I went there so many fucking times, and it's like you had to go back. It was like an abandoned nunnery, like from
Oh, wow.
Where's this?
had in Scotland. It's
In
now
Scotland.
apartments. I'll send you the link separate, like later, so you can have a look. But it's got a lake. It's got like a pet cemetery. It's got a family cemetery. It's beautiful, but at the side of it there was like the chapel. And you could look in through the windows and you'd see the like broken stained, it's like proper rundown, broken stained glass and pulpits there, and it's kind of disheveled, and the pews were all like all over the place. The amount of times that's what it's giving me chills. I used to go back there all the fucking time. Like it became a mini obsession, to be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see, that's why I'm saying you've got to be careful with that because you
The
never
dro-
know when there's something that's grabbed a hold of you that
The
keeps
Mhm.
pulling you back.
went past
You
one night
drawn to it? Like, why did you go back?
because I just loved it. I don't know. I'm a bit fucking
That's so
weird, to
interesting.
be honest. I'm a bit strange. I
Yeah.
clearly got a death wish. In a horror movie, I'm fucked. Like I think I'm smart, but I'm not. I'm fucking stupid.
No, it makes sense though.
Like I remember when we went past one night in the car, and I was the only one looking, and I looked up, and they had like these net curtains on the top floor because it had like fire damage, it had water damage, and they were like this, like somebody had parted them open, and as we went back, they were shut again. And I was like, there's something fucking in there tonight. I was like, the amount of times I took friends up there and scared the shit out of them. That was great.
You don't
But
think
it's
anyone,
apartments
you
now,
don't think
but-
anyone pulled the curtains or
Well,
it actually?
the only sort of reasonable explanation is that I think people were there stealing the lead off the roof. So maybe
Okay.
they were looking. But I
Mhm.
don't know. There were certain bits in that place that you'd step in, you're like you'd feel it in your chest, like somebody squeezing you. You're like, oh fuck, like.
Yeah.
I believe it. Scotland is ancient, and
Oh, yeah.
castles there. I had a girlfriend who stayed in Scotland at some old castle converted to a hotel, and she was the least, paranormal kind of person you can think of. She didn't believe it. Her family wasn't either, and they were all freaked out by that one night there. Like all these events happened when they were there in this castle.
Like where
Yeah.
I like Seagate Castle, you can hear like bagpipes playing in there. It's like one of the young lads who was a piper, the building would come down, crushed him. You can still hear him and his dog whimpering as well, because like his dog got crushed as well.
Oh, wow.
So there's that. Then you've got like, I mean, I never think where I grew
What's
up.
what's the okay, so they're in Scotland. I can't remember. The Hellfire Clubs isn't that there in
I've
Scotland
been
as well?
invited to go there. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
I want to go with you when you go. I will come over and
And this guy wants to do it, but you have to come
let's
over.
go.
See.
Mhm.
That's
But
fascinating.
I got a passport. We'll go.
I'm going to places not knowing anything about it because I just want to walk in and be like,
Are there any film convention or like horror conventions in Scotland that we can go to?
to be fair, you can get from England to Scotland and like depending on what you do, like from where I am, right in the middle, you can go from Leicester to like where I grew up on a train in about 5-6 hours. So it's doable.
That's
And
not bad.
That's
but
not bad.
every time I will take you everywhere. I will take you anywhere you want to go. I know loads of places.
Oh, I'd love that.
Nice.
But you have to
Let's all go. Road trip.
Yeah.
Let's all
Scott.
Yeah.
go. Yeah. Definitely all go.
Yeah. That's like so much of my family history there too. Like Andrew Murray's my ancestor. Yeah.
I think David might have a trouble if we take him to Edinburgh though to see Wee Annie, because you go down into the like subterranean like city, and
Mhm.
people take dolls for Wee Annie and they leave them at her
Oh.
the little temple. There's fucking hundreds, and they'll leave her
Oh.
stuff.
Gosh, that's creepy.
I don't want to go because it's quite confined and I'm really claustrophobic, which is another really strange
I
thing.
am too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't do closed spaces.
It's-
I
Yeah.
love dolls though. I have a lot of creepy
but
I can't do enclosed spaces.
there's even stuff around here, like literally just if you go to the bottom of my street, across the road and down into the field that's there, there's this thing called the Ice House, and they've actually had like paranormal investigators to go down there. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm sat here, my pendulums are in my drawer, and I keep meaning to go because apparently you get loads of energy and they'll just move all the time. And it's just
Mhm.
like, I've never been in like actually investigated. I've been down there several times. Creepy as fuck. You walk in, you're like, and it's just this like stone igloo.
Mhm.
I've just
Oh.
given my location away.
Cool.
If you ever go there, please record it so we can see what you're
Yeah.
experiencing.
Take it down here, my friend.
I want to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only like 5 minutes. Like,
Yeah, see? 5 minutes, Scotty. It's not
I
like
know.
you have like
what I'm
kids
like,
and stuff.
Yeah.
because I don't leave this house if I can help it. Because
Mhm.
but yeah, there's like loads of stuff. Like even in the little village, we've got a menhir, if you ever know what that is. It's like a big standing stone, and you think it's on a ley line. And I shit you not,
Mhm.
I've gone up to it and I've just put my hand on it, and you can feel like it's not.
Like an
like-
energy.
I can't explain. It's just like you can feel something.
It's the energy
Huh.
from the
So
ley line.
it's in the middle of the town, like in the village. What is it?
Field. I'll send you all the links and I'll show you pictures on like Google Maps and shit.
Yeah.
in a
That's
bit.
cool.
She said it's like on a
What?
ley line, Oliver, which is like where all streets, everything connects in the city. Like
How
all the
old is
energy
the
connects in
How
the
old is the village? How old is your village?
Over 800. I mean, like, it's tiny. I came from a village of less than like 200 people, and most of my family is from there, like proper inbred. But we all lived there, and it was like, it's tiny, and like, it's got the oldest bridge in Europe, so it's like 800-year-old bridge.
Oh wow.
This is ancient,
But where
from
my
Yeah.
dad lived,
1200s or 1300s.
Yeah.
where my dad lived, so there's the place in Irvine called Broomlands and Burtree Hill, and Burtree Hill means witch tree in translation. So he's like lived in this really fucking hotbed, like the woods in the park. I'm getting goosebumps. What's happening? Like, oh fuck. But you go up to the woods and there's some, I don't know, it just feels really imposing. Not even that like dense, not really, but it's weird. Like even the little the woodland area, it runs the back of all the houses, like where my aunts and my dad lived. And like there was, I don't know, right? This is where I got the scar on my head. So I think something's happened in this area. But at the back of the field, sorry, the park, like where the kids play, there's like it's kind of like, it looks like an arch. There's like a treed area, and it's an arch and a hill going down into the woodland area. And the amount of times I'd be out there, especially being quite susceptible, I'd be on like the swings and I'd always just be like looking like, and it's, if somebody come up there, I'd have plenty of time to scarf her, but it was just like, oh shit. And like that's actually where I ended up busting my face open, and then it's just I can't explain it. I don't want to tell anybody about it, because if anybody actually
But
goes
you
and-
just told everybody about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, do you feel anything? It's like, do you feel what I feel, or am I just making it up? Because even
And
when
this is an edge of the edge of a forest or woodlands, kind of, where the playground is.
that big, no, it's like it's not like proper overgrown or anything. It's just like some trees, a little path where people take the dogs a walk. It's I don't know, I can't explain it.
Although it's 800, who knows what happened in the last 800 years there,
Yeah.
Like my ghost here, the little girl's definitely Victorian, because she's in Victorian stuff.
Oh wow.
She's got Teddy and everything. It's
Well, if we're there, you'll have to give us a tour one day.
definitely.
We're all coming there because
going to
we're going to
Scotland.
Scotland together.
Road trip
Yay.
to Scotland. Okay.
Yay.
I can occasionally channel dead people as well, but you know, that's up to you if you want to go down that road.
Yes. Okay, yes, I do want to go down that road because this is for everybody. Have any of you ever been to a psychic? Second of all, have you believed what they have told you?
I've never been to one. It's funny. I've never done
David,
one.
don't do that. Don't yawn. That's so contagious.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Nap time.
I need more coffee.
You do need.
Yeah. I've never been to a psychic, so I'd love to do that and find out what they can tell me. You know?
I've been to
I have friends who do it. I've had friends who tell me if you believe in this, they've had reincarnations and alternate lives, and they've been other people, and I don't know anything. I don't know much about that, but they supposedly the psychic can tell you that.
Yeah. Well, about 10 years ago when I was doing a show, like one of the guys doing the show with me, yes, one of our costumers, he was a palm reader, so he read my palm and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. It's weird because like one of the things he told me is like, yeah, your career's not going to happen until you're older, and stuff like that, and a lot of this kind of stuff.
And then you meet me and Scotty.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But like about a month ago, one of my friends is in town from LA, and we were hanging out, she and her like manager and one of their other friends, and like she just like, hey, we were driving down the road here in New York, and she saw like one of the palm reading places with psychic. She looked her up and saw, oh wow, she's legit. She's not just one of those like just because there's a lot of those places around here where just some
money making.
Yeah, this is actually someone that lives in she lives here and also in Connecticut. She's actually apparently a well-known psychic and stuff like that. She's like, hey, why don't we just go for a reading just for shits and giggles? I'm like, okay, cool. And she didn't ring my palm, but she did the tarot card reading, and it was a good reading. But what was so funny, it was like basically the same stuff that my friend had told me when he read my palm was exactly what she was telling me with the tarot cards too. I was like, wow, that's cool.
She had confirmation with the other person.
Yeah, from something 10 years ago.
That's your energy you're putting out into the universe.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, cool. Well, I hope these readings are correct.
I'd be afraid
Do you?
be really negative. Like,
Yeah.
go there and say you could die tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, that's
I
it.
don't
Like
think they can tell you
my
that much.
friend got a little bit of a negative reading. She's like,
Oh.
you have something that's attached to you. There's a darkness that's attached to you. And I kid you not, when she started talking about that, the lights in there started to flicker and stuff like. And this wasn't like, a mom and pop type place. This was just in her own apartment that she just.
So what do you do about it? I mean, what did she say to do? Like, you have a negative force on your
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Make a circle
I
of
think.
salt.
Yeah, I think she set herself up to go to a thing to get it cleansed or something like that. I don't know. I don't know how much of that I necessarily believe, but I just thought it was kind of funny at the same time, like, because this is like 11:30 at night we're doing this, so it's like, yeah, this is not like her daily operating hours or anything like this. She made an exception for my friend because of her connections or something like that.
I have a friend who's an alternative doctor, and he treats with acupuncture and herbs and various things, but he was treating someone, and supposedly this very negative force like would attach itself to him, and he had to have it removed. I don't know. I don't know how that happens, but that's what he had to have done, and he felt it. So.
Yeah, although that's the thing with Sosa. She's like, oh yeah, oh I know. She was like, I know. I've always felt there was something that was. It's just like, well, you need to get this removed. You need to get this going. There's something that. But it was just weird how like things started to react when they started talking about that. I was like, this is weird, and we all just kind of were like, huh, okay. And we didn't talk about it until afterwards. We're like, you noticed that things started to flicker, and
that
like, yeah,
that is confirmation. I was afraid that was happiness at the Waverly place. Honestly, I thought after what we saw, I said, "Are we taking this back?" Like, I was afraid I took it back to the hotel.
Yeah. Oh, there was that picture of you that I took when we're just before the whole entire thing really started. We're on the first floor, and there was something.
There's nothing. What's so weird about that picture because there's nothing around me that could create a shadow.
No,
It's a shadow on my back. So
no.
you're wondering, like, what is this thing on my back? You know?
And it wasn't like a shadow that a person would just cast either. It was like
No.
some weird
It
thing.
was odd. It was just. I was just trying to think of
Yeah.
what could cause. I looked at it. I'm like, oh, now I have like a demon on my back or some.
Yeah.
some-
That was
you know?
weird.
Yeah, that whole
And
experience.
that was a floor where we didn't have any experiences either. So that's what was really strange about that. That was just like,
I think there's so much going on there that we can't even, comprehend, and there's, we're not going to sense everything, even if it's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
makes for great stories though.
Yeah, it does, and it's something to contemplate. You think about it, you're like, okay, I'll never forget. They said SWAT went there. Remember they told us like SWAT was down there, and they said the SWAT guys like fled. They were like ran out of there. And they said, They said, what did they say? They said, we only want to shoot at things we can see.
Yeah.
And
It's
so
like
that's SWAT guy. So yeah, no, I mean it's an eerie, weird. It's so much death and sadness and everything's went on there.
So did they say anything if they're at Waverly? Do the cops get called there regularly for things going on, or?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know because I think they always have someone there anyways, like the caretaker and the guy that was giving us the tour. He's worked there for a few decades.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Bless you.
It's my daily sneeze. I sneeze at least once a day.
With it's like that here with the allergies. But I remember like they talked about the fact that they were shooting a movie there. I think they were actually shooting when we went on the tour.
They had props there on set, like some prosthetics and stuff like that. I was like, oh wow. That was on the floor, the first floor where you had the shadow on you.
I hope I didn't. I'll meet with a psychic because she's Oliver. Did you know you have a darkness surrounding you right now? I'm like, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Is it from Waverly?
I'm gonna have to get that. I have to get it's on my to-do list. I have to get the exercise.
Yeah.
From what I gather, like none of the stuff that's there at Waverly's malicious or anything like that too. Not just from our experiences, but even from what they were saying, all the things that would happen, there was nothing really malicious, nothing trying to hurt people or anything like that.
No, it felt like it was just a lot of sadness and
a lot of sad, sick
felt
people that
lost. You know what I mean? They felt really lost.
Yeah.
It felt like, they're trying to find meaning and just trying to discover what was going on. More like trying to message us, or there's a curiosity of who they were. I don't know how to. It's hard to explain what I felt.
Have you guys
loneliness?
Loneliness. Yeah.
Have you guys ever watched the movie Death of a Ghost Hunter? If not, I encourage you to watch it.
Death
of a Ghost Hunter. Yeah, it's such a brilliant movie. So it's about this. It's kind of like a found footage type film, and it's about this paranormal team that goes to investigate this house where these murders happened, and it ends up where the paranormal team. I won't give too much away of it because you have to see it, but just the effects alone, just the story alone, I think you guys would really, really enjoy it. I also told Mike Pickle to watch it as well.
What happens in it? Like, is the ghost hunters attack?
So what happens is the paranormal team goes to investigate a haunted place, a place where all these murders happen. And like I said, it's found footage, so it's their whole documentary of what they're investigating at the time. And it has to do with them seeing different ghosts inside the house of the people that were killed. And then I'm not going to give away the ending because it's so great. I cannot do that for you guys, but just watch it. It'll
That's
give
cool.
you goosebumps. It's good. It's
Okay,
good.
we'll check it out.
I'll message you guys. I'll tell you what it's called again so you can watch it.
Watch
Having
it.
to do with what we're talking about, you guys will really appreciate it.
Yeah. So I love that kind of stuff. It's just like, my thing is like, as long as I know it's not trying to hurt me, it doesn't scare me anymore. Might creep me out a little bit, but it doesn't scare me. I don't feel like I'm in danger.
Yeah, we know we're not alone, definitively. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm still creeped out by it. Even though I know it exists, I'm still like, I think it's like the fact that I don't understand what it is. If I understood more, and the thing that's so frustrating for me is we're never going to get the answers that we want. We're never going to have confirmation, at least in our lifetime. What is this? And what happened? It's a question that you'll continue it's an enigma,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And then
Yeah.
how are you supposed to get naked or have some time ever when there's all these ghosts watching you?
You pervert.
Like, you're
Just
thinking, like,
saying.
you're just like hanging out. Hey, how's it going? You know, you're
Yeah,
That
you guys
explains
are
what
hanging out.
ectoplasm is.
you're
Yeah,
like a
oh my
ghost,
God.
it's like a
Leave
ghost
it.
news channel. I don't know.
It's ghost spooge.
Yeah.
I got slimed. Oh no.
You need a device. You need a privacy ghost device. I'm pressing the button, and the ghost
Yep.
cannot see me naked now.
It's like,
Scotty, I don't know what
I'm
trauma
probably
or
scaring the
interviews
ghost
calling you.
more. It's like,
So,
Hmm.
it's like when you were saying the other day on the podcast that you did just recently, David, it's like people could mistake me and you as ghosts because of that fucking pale you glow in the
oh
dark.
yeah.
Yes. So
It's
pale.
like,
you
I'm
glow in the
sorry, I'm
dark.
just pale. I'm sorry.
I have the same problem too. This is the most color I think I've ever had.
It's
I go
no
California
fair.
sun.
I go from pale to burn back to pale.
Yeah.
Do you
It's
have
not
no.
fair. It's not fair because I'm part Cherokee and Creek Indian. And
You get those genes. You
yeah, my cousins don't have any of the native ancestry because they're from my mom's side of the family. And they have this natural olive complexion, all three of them. And they tan so well during the summer. Like, it's not fair. Where did you
Not
get
fair.
that from?
I'm 0.02 Native American too. I found out.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't tan at all. That part is not dominant.
Yeah, we don't know what percentage we are because I was like my great grandmother's deathbed confession that we were native, and I'm like, it's because that was a different generation. Her generation, that was something like you didn't let people know you weren't 100% white. You're just like, yeah, we're biracial.
I discovered through I did the genetic thing, 23. It's interesting what comes. You're like, oh, that's interesting.
I
found
just
out-
didn't trust that. I didn't want people having my DNA on record.
Yes. Do not let people
Yeah.
have your DNA because they will frame you for crimes.
Yeah.
I've done it.
So I didn't even. I'm so stupid. I didn't even think. It's too late now. I found I'm Korean
Yeah.
too. I'm partially
Korean.
like
Interesting.
0.02 Korean. And you're
Oh, see
wondering
that-
how that happened.
Oh, that might come from the native ancestry too, because
Yeah.
because that they all came across a land bridge from Asia.
That's right, when they were connected.
Mhm.
So yeah, no, it's interesting to see you get an insight into your past a little bit too.
Yeah.
Asked for it for a birthday gift, and mine's is so disappointing. It's 100% fucking British. I was like, oh, come the fuck on.
Like, oh man.
Not even anything else, just 100% British. Like that I'm Scottish too.
Dude, yeah,
Scottish Irish. I was like, mother. Like,
she's got 100%.
motherfuckers don't leave Scotland. Like, come on, do something.
It's a great place. Why ever leave? It's your family's there, and
I think I'd be
you're
afraid.
I think it makes sense because you're in an island community. So it's like, how can you and you're going to meet people there and marry people on the island.
Yeah, mine's like that.
I'd be afraid of what mine ever said. Be like, oh, you're just 100% freaking weirdo. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Alien.
not right.
It'd be great if it came out like 0.01 unknown. Like they can't even.
It's like, we don't know what you
Knew
are.
it.
Like,
I knew it.
I'm an alien.
I knew it.
It all makes sense now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody walking around to all you being like, Elliot.
Elliot. Pieces.
Oh my god.
Elliot, I'm your father.
Elliot,
I
am your father.
I had a crazy night with your mom.
Oh geez. Oh my god.
Shut up, penis breath.
Oh my god. I love
that's why that line killed me as a kid. I was like, penis breath.
I wonder if that was an ad lib. We'll have to ask them. I mean, if you ever guys, like, was that an ad lib? That seems like something you just say off the cuff.
I know. It just doesn't seem like a
so
line that
great.
would just be written. It's like, Henry, did you make up that line?
Best line.
No,
Best line.
no sets were like that then. You got to ad lib everything,
Yeah.
Such a cool.
That's
I did.
awesome.
I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
They just said go, just go. So I could see penis. That it seems like, how could you put that? And Melissa Matheson, and she wrote the script. I can't imagine her writing that, but maybe she had kids and said, "What would you say?" You know,
Penis breath. Ha, that's funny.
I like that. Perfect. Let me write that in.
Yeah.
I know I could probably would have come out with some awful stuff. I nearly crashed a car. So yeah, just terrible. I just come out with things when I was a kid. I just say shit. I'm like, people.
That's
like,
what kids do. You know?
terrible. Really bad.
That's a cool cast of people from ET
Mhm.
as well. I've met basically all of them now. They're all so great.
Yeah, I met them as kids, but I haven't met them. Like I met Drew Barrymore. She supposedly, my mom told me she had a crush on me when she was really little.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
When I was like, we were and yeah, I met them like when we were doing PR for Poltergeist and ET at the same time, and they all seemed
Yeah.
great. I mean, they were just awesome kids that, you know. And I feel like child actors today are like really competitive, or their parents are forcing them to do. These kids are
Yeah.
just like mellow and, you know, and precocious and fun.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, now it's all about just like the TikTok generation, all that kind of like, hey, look at what we're doing. We're so awesome. Blah 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 blah. Me. It's like that back then. Kids were kids, and I think they were y'all were better actors as kids because you were just kids being kids. I mean, I look at the Goonies,
Mhm.
and I just look at how they're acting of the kids in the Goonies. And it seems like kids being kids. It's like, you know, they're talking over each other, shouting, all that kind of. It's like, yeah,
Yep.
that's how kids are.
I think Richard Donner, who directed that, if we talk, I mean, I think he really let them just go. You know.
Yeah,
and so,
I do too. I'm just like,
you know,
because I'm watching that, and I'm just like, God, this is just, the dialogue is so good because these feel like real kids.
well, if my experience was on Poltergeist, we had the core lines we had to know, but everything
Mhm.
else we could fill in with what we just do. Your breakfast, do what you do. You're gonna have a breakfast. You're playing with your sister. Be the brother. You know, and just
Yeah.
be, you know, be natural. Forget the crew's there, and just forget there's 80 people standing around.
Yeah.
And that's the job, I think, of a director of children. Make them feel so comfortable that make them forget that there's 100 people on that set.
Yeah.
You know, it's just you with, you know, playing. You're
Just-
playing. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely authentic. Like now the Freelings, watching them, especially like I remember, like I've said to you, I grew up watching it, and it was just like they just felt like a normal family. I think that's why it made it so creepy, because
Mhm.
they're normal. What's going on? You know what I mean? It was just
Yeah.
really,
Yeah, they're a real family. You know, so
which is
it's really true.
because it's better than that forced shit that you get in it.
It,
But
guys,
Yeah.
anything. Yeah. Oh God, I hate it.
it's very
It's just
real.
like now it's all the like, hi, we're a family. Look how great we are.
No,
It's like,
We've lost that natural quality to filmmaking. I think in the 70s and 80s really had that kind of. Look at Close Encounters. I mean, that's why I love that
Yeah.
film so much. He seems like a little boy, and you know, Melinda Dillon seems like a mom. He's a single mom struggling, and
mhm.
in the middle of Indiana, and she's just, everything seems so real. You know.
Yeah.
We
That's
don't-
why I'm always impressed with like when I come across a child actor that's actually really good and just natural. I'm like, I look at Amelie when we're filming Terrifier 2. I'm like, she just went with it. She's like, because the first scene we did together was the possum scene, and they
Mhm.
just told her just play off of David, just, you know, mimic what he's doing and stuff like that, and she just totally went with what we were just playing. There's
That's-
so many outtakes from that they're not in the movie because we were just playing.
See, that's just so great, and that's how you get something that's so natural too. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
way she mimicked you was just so
Oh, she was great.
otherworldly.
She was great. I was like, yeah, she's so good. She's so good.
Sorry, did you just hear that? It was like a really weird.
Did you hear
The
like a
siren?
giggle or something?
Yeah, did you
No.
fucking? I've
Yes.
heard a few things tonight, and I'm like,
No, I heard a giggle. I thought it
You
was
have to
your
play it
kids.
back.
I thought
You'll
that
have
was
to-
you giggling.
no,
See?
No, it wasn't me. Okay, you
I have
have
a
to.
childlike voice, but no.
I'm not shitting you, right? Because I'm quite a skeptic. But at one point we were talking, and there was somebody like a screeching behind me, and I was like,
Oh,
Yes,
there
I
was
heard
a police siren going off down the street. I don't know if you heard that, but I definitely heard a giggle too.
I heard a giggle.
And
my kids
you'll
are
have to play it back and isolate that. That's
Yeah, I thought it
Yeah.
was your kids.
what time, like 3:15. Okay, I'll try and remember that. But I was like, what the?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
It sounded like it was right here coming from my microphone, which is weird. Like it
It
felt
was
like
very loud. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I thought it was you. So I was
It's
just
like
like,
reverb. Could it be like reverb or something? We'll debunk this.
Never done like, yeah, I'm a bit, I'm like, even though all this shit's happened, I'm like, what is that?
mhm.
Hence why I'd probably die, because I'd be the dumbass. I'd be like, what's that? Oh,
That was a motorcycle out there.
when you said about that room
Yeah.
that you stood in the middle, I'm like, fuck it, I'm standing in the middle. Let's see what happens.
Oh yeah, that was they. I think I was the only one in the Waverly that actually walked out there to see what would happen.
Yeah.
Did you feel anything?
No, I really didn't. You know, I didn't see. I mean, I didn't feel anything. But then something obvious was on my back. You know.
Yeah.
Are you
So,
guys
yeah.
talking
Weird.
about the death tunnel?
I didn't feel anything.
Nothing happened in the death tunnel.
No,
How long
that's
is
the
that
irony of the
actually?
thing.
Like,
Oh,
how
it's very
long?
long. We didn't even go down the whole entire thing.
We just walked down a little bit, and I didn't. It's strange. You're right. I mean, it's bizarre. I didn't feel anything there. Nothing happened. You know. Maybe
Nothing.
that area.
That's where-
I don't know. Why.
Oh, but going back to Terrifier 1, that's another thing that happened when we were filming at Seaview Mental Hospital. Like the tunnel scene we're on with the baby.
Mhm.
That's that tunnel right there. That's one of the TB tunnels where they would bring the bodies down.
Yep.
And the room where you see me strangle do the saran wrap, and also where we cut Catherine, that's the furnace room, I guess, where the crematorium type of place.
Oh, God.
But one night we're on set, and they're filming stuff with Samantha, and she was the only other female other than our makeup assistant. And she and I, like the makeup assistant and I, decided to kill some time. We're like, hey, let's go explore the tunnels. It's like 2:00 in the morning. And security would always do a sweep of the tunnels every single night and everything, just to make sure there weren't any homeless people and stuff like that. So we're going down the tunnels, and just using the light on my phone for light, and we hear this like shuffling sound about 10 feet in front of us, and like this female voice mumbling to itself. And we didn't bother going further. We're like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Go back. And I'm in full makeup and blood all over me and stuff like that too. So I'm like, I realize how scary I would have looked to whatever would have been there. But still, it's just like, I don't care to see what might be in front of us right now. So let's go back. Because that was weird. It's like 2:00 in the morning, and it's just like, there's distinctly something down here with us.
Yeah, that you don't want to investigate that further, and
Yeah.
cite any more activity.
Nope.
So are you guys ever afraid of bringing something home with you when you do stuff like that, or investigate what you investigate?
Not really. I guess it's because I'm just so. I mean, there's already something in my place now anyway, so it's just like,
More the merrier.
It's already hanging out with me, so yeah.
Yeah.
They could be buddies. You could have like, hey, nice to meet you. I'm parent.
Yeah.
Bring
Bring a friend home.
Well, plus there's proper ways to
I think you're
introduce
lonely.
yourself. Do you guys introduce yourselves to them when you go into a place to begin with? Because
Yeah.
you want to make sure that you introduce yourself. So they
Why don't you want to avoid that? You don't want to become on a first name basis, right?
No, you want to let them know that you're not a threat.
Mhm.
You can be
That
safe.
you're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you
I'm
also
just here to
wanna tell
visit.
them too,
Yeah, I'm not here
you
to.
wanna-
You're not like in Beetlejuice where you're gonna like
Yeah.
rid them. You're not doing exorcism. I'm just hanging out. I'm gonna be cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So like when
Yeah.
I did my paranormal investigating, I would
Mhm.
always make sure I introduce myself, let them know I wasn't a threat, let them know I was just there to communicate, find out whatever they wanted to hear, any of that, or say any of that.
Yeah.
Let them know they cannot follow me home because I already had enough with that. Yeah, so you just gotta be careful. Watch yourself.
Well, I think we did some kind of ritual or something like that right before we
Okay.
left Waverly too, if I remember correctly.
Did
We did
we?
something like. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I was in the bathroom then. No, I'm kidding. I don't.
Oliver's fuck.
Oh yeah. I think we did
Damn, I missed
something
the
like.
ritual.
Hey.
That's why I have all these ghosts in my house now. They're
See?
Yeah.
we're all just we're all hanging out, we're all chilling.
Like, you seem cool. You were in
You just hang,
All
don't
being
move
pale
anything around.
together.
in
Yeah.
Poltergeist. He must be cool.
Mhm.
You're like,
Mhm.
you're all, your guys. be cool. Don't move anything around at night.
Yeah. Don't keep any
Yep.
clown dolls handy.
No. Yeah, avoid that. We'll be good.
Yeah.
Possession of clown dolls or anything else.
No, I saw your picture with Carrie McGuire. You guys made friends. You made
Yeah.
friends
She
with
was
the clown
great.
doll.
Good old Carrie.
We
I love
bonded.
her.
We worked out our differences, and all was good.
I mean, I tried to kill you.
So
I did try to kill him. And I can't help but think about was it Scary Movie or Scary Movie 2 with the clown doll?
Uh-huh.
oh, I know. I saw that.
With the big old clown penis.
Yeah. It's like, oh God, no.
That's the ultimate like homage, I think, too.
Oh yeah.
You end up in Scary Movie. That
Oh,
and
yeah.
Mad Max, those two things.
I wish they were still making those movies. Those were fun.
Yeah.
Those
think people
Wayans
watch-
brothers, man.
I think people have lost their sense of humor to some degree, though.
Oh yeah. I miss
Yeah.
parodies like that. They were just fun, like Mel Brooks type of parodies,
Mhm.
I don't think
Naked
you can make-
Gun, National Lampoon, all that.
Oh yeah.
I don't think you could make those films today. That people would be like offended from the get-go.
Yeah.
Like Airplane, half those jokes.
Oh
you
my
could-
God. Airplane.
So
It's so funny to think that movie was PG at the time too.
Mhm.
Consider there's
Yeah.
nudity and all that in it.
I knew the culture was so different than though. It was
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
like in the 70s, especially the 70s. It was just like, hey, whatever, anything
Yep.
goes.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
that
Boobs, yay.
you know. It's funny with all our technology, everything we've advanced with, we become so much more conservative and closed-minded in many ways in terms of cinema,
Yeah.
and the performances aren't like they were in the 70s.
Oh
or-
God, no.
Like,
You don't have the movie stars that we had back in the day, like where a movie sells itself because this person's in the movie. You
Yeah.
go to like back in the day, you went to go see an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. You went to go see a Sylvester Stallone movie.
yeah,
Now it's just the only one that's really like that is The Rock.
and you knew what you're getting when specifically too.
Yeah.
When you're going to see Commando or Schwarzenegger, you knew the kind of film you
Yeah.
would get, and the filmmaking was so brilliant. The McTiernan did a great job with that direction. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Well, it's the same thing like Robin Williams. You knew this is a Robin Williams movie. Okay, I'm gonna have fun. Jim Carrey. I'm gonna go see this Jim Carrey movie.
that's what was
Now-
so interesting. Like Dead Poets, though, is that
Mhm.
you didn't expect Robin Williams was playing an entirely different kind of role. And he was so great
Yes.
in that. Yeah,
Oh my
Um,
God, he was a
yeah.
master.
yeah.
He can
truly
make you
was.
laugh and cry in the same 2 minutes. It was just like, my God, he's great.
Yeah, it's so much heart,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
infused that in all his roles, and it seemed so genuine too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it was. That's the thing. That was his calling in life, was to entertain people, because that's how he dealt with his own depression,
Mm-hmm.
and
With his
which
own-
I can totally understand. That I did too. That's how I got over my mom's death. I threw myself into acting.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I dealt with all the bullying I had in school. I threw myself into acting. I love to make people laugh.
The
Like-
same thing happened. That's so interesting you said it, because the same thing happened to me too. I was a little guy, and I was really little growing up, and I
Yeah.
was bullied all the time. I mean, I was throwing trash, everything you saw in movies. I was bullied and throwing trash cans, and I had to make myself feel bigger. It was my act. So I started acting before I even started acting as a kid. That's
Mhm.
I think a lot of child actors come from that reality.
Yeah.
It would
It's
be
just,
interesting to see if any of your guys' bullies that bullied you in school are fans of yours now.
oh, I know. God. That
Yeah.
I will say it was interesting. I went back to my 20th high school reunion, and it was like a month after Terrifier 1 released on Netflix. And just seeing all these people all of a sudden wanted to talk to me that would
Mm.
not give me the time of day back in the day. And it's like, oh my God, I always loved you. And I'm like, did you now?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right.
No, you had your
Sure.
chance, buddy.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Because
We
they're
could
all
have been on so many dates together.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's- I remember there's the one girl I remember just back in high school. She was so cute. Oh, she was so cute. And I saw her at the reunion. She was still single or something like that. And she was just kind of giving me the eye at the reunion. And I'm like, oh man.
You should have kind of got you some smooches.
I know, but I was like,
You had your chance. Now moving
Yeah.
on.
Yeah,
Sorry.
right.
yeah, exactly. It's like you didn't like me then, so
You're not
No,
worthy of me now.
yeah. Yep.
I went to this very entertainment industry oriented school, so people didn't even care about what I mean.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
Everyone's parents were actors, so it was weird.
Yeah.
Our art festivals, they'd all show up, so it's like you had an entire film industry, a piece of it, during one of our performances too. Like I went to school with Carney Wilson. She was so talented, even with her family. Who her family was, her voice. We had arts festivals. We had some really great actors. Like I did scenes with Adam Goldberg.
Wow.
And he was great.
Which Adam Goldberg? There are two of them.
Oh,
the writer of the Goldbergs.
Saving Private Ryan, Adam Goldberg.
Okay, that one. Okay.
And he was. It was funny. We had a lot of guys like him, really talented. And on all the plays, our high school plays were quasi professional. It almost felt like at the time too.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I grew up in Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama. So you didn't have that there. That was
it's a little different. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like even at that reunion, you just heard all these the old jocks just like, yeah, remember when we had this game and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, our football team sucked. It was just like, you guys, that was your best years because they had all stayed there. They're like selling cars or insurance or whatever, which is like, yeah, if you do, that's great. But I'm like, it's
as long as they're happy, as long as they find contentment in their life and they moved on, and as long as they're treating other people with respect.
You could tell that was when they peaked in life was in high school, and they're still trying to relive those days. And it was just like, this is sad. It's like, because that's what I realized at that reunion. It was one of the most satisfying things because I'm like, I looked around and said, all the people that were the big, popular people in high school, that's when they peaked. They had all stayed there, stayed comfortable in Huntsville, Alabama, married, had kids. That's all they did. Those of us that were the nerds, the geeks, the ones that were the outsiders, everybody made fun of, we all went out, got outside of Huntsville, moved away, and did cool shit with our life.
That's right.
And it's like, yeah, we're doing all the cool shit now. And it's like, yeah, you might have scored a touchdown in the game in high school, which no one cared about. Like, she works for this senator. This, I'm making movies. This person's got their own big, huge business that's in multiple, states, and now they're really rich and stuff. I'm like, yeah.
And it's really true, And I know I'm not bitter towards anyone who beat me up or any. I mean, I'm just like, hope they find happiness in their life.
Yeah.
And and that's all I want for these people. And I hope they're less, and I hope they're more open minded. If they have children, just tell them, one day could be making the movies that you're gonna see.
It's like, don't be a dick.
It's easy. It's be the good guy. It's not hard. It takes a lot more energy to a jerk throwing someone in the trash can.
Yeah.
I even had a person or two apologize to me at the reunion. Like, I'm sorry for the way I treated you back in the day and stuff like that. It's okay. So thank you though. Thank you. It's just
it would have been nice if you had done something then, but
no kidding. But
exactly.
Never, I guess.
Yeah.
It is true. And the Meeks definitely do inherit the earth because we're because we are different. We're the outsiders. You gain a different perspective, which allows you to see the world in such a place that allows you to be an artist.
And I think it also kind of set a fire under my butt too, because there was part of me that just wanted to show those people that I was worth more than what they said I was. It's like, I want to show these people one day. I want to prove it to them.
Yeah. No, and you did, and we all do that too. I think. And it's funny, even in the world, all the dorky guys now have deals and are making movies. And it's interesting to see that happen too, and I love that,
Well, so that's how I look at it. It's like all of us that make these movies, we're all geeks ourselves.
It's really love, and it's funny. I was working on this film at Fox, on this little script they're working on there, and it's funny. We all geeked out. We're like. They asked me because they know I was in Poltergeist. They said, "Would Steven read our script?" And I want you to know this, but this is a guy who's made $100 million movies, But they made, but with Steven look at this because he's the master, and we're all cinema geeks, and we love movies so much, and that's why we make films. It's not, and that's what I think a lot of people don't understand. They think you make movies to make a lot of money or to be famous, and it's never. Doing that, no, and most of the time that's not going to happen. You do it because you love it, more than anything else, So
And
Yeah.
I think that's what translates so well with you guys that really do have the passion for it, is because you do make it for the fans. You make it for yourself. You do it just to just prove that you actually have a love and passion for the industry, for the film, script, whatever. And that's what we as fans appreciate so much about you guys. Okay, sorry, Matt, a little
What I've
kumbaya
also
moment.
noticed about all the different celebrities I've met at the conventions and stuff like that, they're fellow geeks, just like the fans are. So they're just geeks that we're geeks that got lucky, but we're still geeks at heart. We will sit there and talk about our love for movies and video games and music and all that kind of stuff for hours on end.
I mean, all my friends with film, I went to film school at USC, and we're all like that, even to this day. You know, sit around a round table and we talk about cinema and films we love, and
it's just funny because there's that whole image like, oh wow, they're great. These people are such badasses and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, we're just all geeks. We're just like you. It's just like like last week I went to the Ice Nine Kills concert because Spencer's a big Terrifier fan. He got us, tickets and stuff like that. We hung out with the band afterwards. All the fans were like, oh my god, these guys are such badasses. They're like, and we're just sitting there just talking about movies and geeking out about certain things. We're just like, they're just fellow geeks like me. That's like, we're just all we're doing something. We found a career in the things we love that we're geeky about. We found a way to make it a career.
Yeah, and people who make movies do it because they so much love it, they would do it for free. It's never about, and sometimes you can be paid well and sometimes you're not, but it's never really about that. And I think some people forget that,
I mean, people think I got paid tons of money to do Terrifier 1. I'm like, my God, no. I made it for next to nothing, but I'm like, that's why I wasn't doing it for the money. I was doing it for the experience, and it was just fun.
Yeah, that, and that's just all independent cinema, because independent cinema, it usually does not it doesn't become like Terrifier. You make these movies that basically go nowhere, and that's why it's so beautiful. Terrifier became what it became.
And we didn't expect it. We're just making a movie that we think would be fun to make and fun to watch. So, and the same thing with Mean One. Like we didn't expect Mean One to go to the movie theaters like it is right now. And it's just like, it's because we just made something we thought would be funny and fun. And it's
and people enjoyed it.
And I think that's what, if more people started making those type of movies, you would see a lot more success, because that's why these things have been a success, is because you can tell there was a lot of love put into it, and that's why it's so much better than a lot of just the cookie cutter, slapdash stuff that's put out by a lot of the mainstream Hollywood now. It's like, oh, they're just doing that stuff just to make a buck. It's like, oh yeah, they're like, well, just slap a franchise name to this, and it's going to sell just because it's got the franchise name. So we know it doesn't have to be a good movie. We just know this name alone will put butts in seats.
Yeah. And that's what happened in in Friday the 13th and Halloween came out. That was, the studios didn't take that seriously at all. I mean, for Halloween, they barely had any budget.
No.
And then the studios embraced it. And, I have a feeling that's probably going to happen with Terrifier. They're going to try to, deconstruct it in such a way and see why it's successful. But like you said, it doesn't have the love. You can't have, an executive who's emotionally detached from the subject matter completely, who's not really a fan, create the product in a movie that people are going to love, if you don't have a love for it yourself,
Exactly. I mean, that's what I look like the superhero movies that have come out. You can tell the difference between the movies where they actually have something that gives a damn about the property and the characters and stuff like that, versus those who are just like, okay, I'm just going to do this. It's going to be easy, few $1 million to make right here for myself. And it's like, that's why the James Gunn movies are so damn good.
Yeah.
Because he's a huge geek himself, and he's making stuff that he loves and enjoys, and it shows. I'm like, he's made movies and shows about characters no one knew about, like Peacemaker. I didn't even know much about Peacemaker, but the show Peacemaker, hysterical. And it's like, now people are like, oh, Peacemaker's off, Guardian of Galaxies, awesome. It's like, you never had people talking about Guardians of the Galaxy until James Gunn made that movie, and people are like, oh my God, this is great. because he
Yeah,
gives a
his
damn.
talent shines through. That's for sure.
Yeah. I look at the new Batman movie. That's why it was so good, because like you have someone that actually loves Batman, made a
Mhm.
Batman movie. I'm like, this is good.
Yeah, you definitely need a passion for the, and you know, when you don't have that, it becomes kind of, you know, mercenary, so to speak. And it's something you're just
Yeah.
creating. There's no love there at all. You
No.
know, that's why all the
It's like-
Spielberg films from the 80s are so great, because they come from they really come from a real place.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
As a horror fan, seeing movies and they're just so, for lack of a better word, lifeless.
Yeah.
You've not
Yeah.
had a movie in ages.
Well, that's because they've just been putting some bullshit together, shoving it down our throats and expecting us to pay our money to watch it. And it's so predictable anymore. And it's just, we don't care about them because they don't care about them.
Yeah.
That's why it's refreshing with independent horror now, because there's so many brilliant ideas,
Yeah.
so many brilliant scripts that so many people are writing and coming up with that are exciting. And I can't wait for this new era to come out.
Oh, me
Like, I think
too.
2023 is going to be the new era for indie horror.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
excited for it.
well, I know Hollywood's taken notice too, because there are so many very big, important directors and producers have been contacting Damien.
Yeah.
You know, they're just wanting to talk to Damien, not necessarily just to have him, you know, to get on board and help do Terrifier 3, but you know, they want his input on other projects and stuff like that. They're like,
So
they
great.
recognize that he's caught on to something that no one else is catching on to right now, and they're like, okay, you did something special here.
Mhm.
What did you do?
Yeah.
And it's like, he's like, he just made something he loved. That's
Yeah.
the thing. He's a fan. He made what he wanted to see.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
that simple.
and I think, unfortunately, some executives are going to try to synthesize what you guys did, and yet it has to come from a real place. That there is no secret
Yeah.
formula.
No,
You know,
it's
Love
got to have
it.
passion behind it. That's the
Yes.
thing. It's like so many of them lack the passion. And
or they've lost the passion. You know, I've noticed.
yeah.
You know, which
But
is,
I have no doubt there's going to be like imitators and stuff like that now of us, and they're just they're going to go crazy with the gore, but there's not going to be the character behind it, and that's the secret. You have to build the characters that people latch onto and love. It's like, yeah, Terrifier wouldn't have been successful if Art hadn't been a fun character for people to watch and see, and it had been a great protagonist to root for. If it had just been the gore they focused on the whole entire time. It's like,
yeah, we've been there and we've seen that countless
Yeah.
times. And it's you know, you become immune to it after a while.
Yeah.
You know, you're desensitized. It doesn't mean
Yeah.
anything.
exactly. So we shall see. We shall see. But anyway, I probably have to go in a few minutes because I got to actually head out to Staten Island
I do
to
too.
do some stuff for Indiegogo backers. Got to sign a bunch of stuff so they can start
Nice.
mailing them off to everybody. We've been delaying this too much because we've all been so busy recently. So it's like, oh God.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, you're popular
Great
now.
to be here with you guys. This was really fun. This was the most
Yeah.
traditional interview I've, or what do you call it, interview? Just sort of just hang out and talk. about
Yeah,
stuff.
I know. I realized it's been like 2.5 hours almost. I'm like, holy
Oh my
crap.
God! Wow.
We
So-
did it again.
Go ahead, Scotty.
No, I was
Yeah.
saying we did it again because David's first interview with me was 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
It's like,
I get to talking and I don't shut up.
I should have brought like snacks.
I know.
Yeah.
Snacks for all of us.
You know,
Drink.
so
No,
it's
that's
cool.
one fun thing about Scotty and I. You know, we really try to just relate and be relatable and make you guys comfortable because
Mhm.
it should
You
just
did
be
it.
like we're friends hanging
Oh, yeah.
out, you know?
Exactly.
We love you
It's good.
guys.
I love it. Yeah, well-
This fight was fun. It's like you like y'all got me at a good time too because I've been turning people down left and right for podcasts recently because
Love
it's just,
it.
I've been gotten so busy.
Yeah,
like
well,
that you
now
ask
you
the
can't
same-
ever deny us ever.
I know,
Yeah, I know.
No, you
I know.
you have to
I like
always.
how you guys- I like how you can
Because-
ask me the same questions, and I don't mind answering them, but they're all on the
Yeah.
internet already. You know, I'm like,
Yeah.
I get that, and that's okay. And I'll answer it, but let's talk about something new and cool. You know?
Yeah.
Right.
Or
Yes.
I prefer just having an actual conversation instead of just like, hey, tell me about this moment and tell me about this and this and this and this. It's like, yeah, I like to just shoot the shit.
Yeah, well, I hope you get
It's true. It really is true.
that. Like, that's
You
what
may
I
be onto something with these kind of things. This is much
Yeah.
better.
See?
We'll see. It's only it's like a little baby right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're nurturing it.
Yeah,
Michael gave us a great shout out,
Oh, you
like
did?
for our
Yeah.
interview we did with him. So that made me
Aw.
feel so squirrely inside.
Thanks, Michael.
Oh,
I got to get him my convention schedule because so we can figure out when I can actually come and film.
Yeah, because I'm gonna be in a scene with you, David.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a
See,
ghost.
I'm
I
gonna
don't
be
even
there
know
too.
what
I
to
think
be
it's
a
April.
ghost.
Yeah.
I get my
Yeah.
like throat cut. I think that's
Yeah.
happening to me. Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. I don't, the good thing is I'm like, this role's not as demanding for me as art was. So that's the good thing. I think they just need me for about a week. So
Yeah.
like that's good then.
That's cool.
But
And
it's
I
what
get to
goes
talk
on
in this
that-
one.
Yeah, it's
I
what goes
know.
on in that week though.
Yeah, a lot goes on, but it's
Yeah,
still
you
it's
could be
like,
a smart ass in this one. I love it.
yeah, I'm gonna have fun with this character.
Yeah, hell yeah.
David, do you know if you're in the UK next year?
I don't know yet. I don't know. We'll see. It just that God, Bob has me down for well over 20 conventions already for next year. It's
Oh my
insane.
god. It's like,
What he
Yeah.
meant to say, Scotty, is of course he is, because we're going to Scotland all together.
yeah, I have to come along too.
Yeah. I gotta have a vacation at some point.
Yeah.
They have to start. They have to start a convention in Scotland.
Yeah.
That's a perfect place. It's haunted already. You're already
The Haunted Highland Convention. That's what they call it.
Ooh, good. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay, we planted the seed.
Yeah.
It's out there. Someone's gonna do
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
Not too
Haunted
bad.
Highland Convention.
Would you,
Brilliant.
would you two do it? If I had to do a convention, I'm not going to do a convention. But would you do it if I had to do?
Oh, you don't want to. It's so much work and crap to put up with. I think you have to be a little bit deranged to run a convention because it's like what you all have to put up with. I'm like,
I
oh
don't know
my
how
God.
you guys. I think you have. I have a lot of compassion for those guys.
Yeah, I do too. It's just like constant, just people at you, vendors, celebrities, all this trying to juggle, trying to get everything worked out. Ugh, I don't envy them
Yeah.
at all.
Be like, get away
Well,
from me.
it's
You're bothering me.
Yeah.
And the people who do it right really make it look easy, which is so interesting.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it looks like it's easy to, it's not, and it really is not.
Oh God, this is why I don't direct, because I don't like having to be in charge of a lot of moving parts and a lot of people and stuff like that. Not for me. I could never run a convention. I would be stressed out all the time.
Dad's
Yeah,
probably good
I
at
could
it.
never run it. I don't know how these guys do it. I don't know,
Right.
but I don't mind going. It's for
Oh no, yeah. I just couldn't do it myself. I'm like, more power to these guys for doing it.
See, I've had
Definitely.
over 20 years of management experience in my lifetime, so I'm good at bossing people around. But I mean, I
Yeah.
do it in a nice way where
Yeah.
I'm not a dick about it, but
If
Yeah.
it fucks up though, it's
You get things done in a kind way.
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear about the drama with Walker? I don't know. It'll be fine. With Walker Stalker in London. Holy mom.
No, what
I
happened?
did. I think I heard some stuff, but
Oh man. Like,
What? Tell us what happened.
yeah, what the heck, Sky?
remember what
Before David has to run away.
Yes,
yeah, I got just a few more minutes. I'm sorry.
No, let's go. It's just like there was like issues with the queue. People were standing there for like freaking hours just to get in.
Oh,
Jeez.
They weren't paying the stars. They weren't paying the fucking stars. Like, oh,
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Oh,
oh wow. I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. That is the wrong way to do a convention. It's so easy.
Yep.
I think you get
Oh wow.
off more than he can chew because obviously Walking Dead was so massive. I just don't
Yeah.
think like the experience just to pull it off because
Wow.
it was
Ugh.
the amount of people like the cast members. Like I think played Abraham. Oh,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
Abraham anyway. He completely backed out. I'm sure there was a few other people that were just like
Oh.
nope, and it was,
Yeah.
people were
I
packing.
heard it was a huge shit show.
It was
That's
awful.
too bad.
I was so close to getting tickets, and I was like, something came up, and I was like, yeah, it's not happening. And then I
Good
was
thing
like,
you didn't go since that how
Yeah.
it played out.
yeah, for the love of horror, it was quite good though. I don't know about the back, like behind the scenes, but it seemed to. Oh. Oh, okay.
I will just say some people weren't very happy with what they were able to walk away with.
Yeah. I guess that's a kind way to put it.
Yeah.
I think I know what you're getting with there. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So, all right. Well, I guess.
Well, yeah. Thank you guys
It was
so
great
much.
talking to
It
you.
has been such a great
Yeah.
time. Yeah,
Thank you for making me part of the
Yeah.
magic. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, now you guys are stuck with us, like I said.
Yay! It's like a fly
Next-
trap, but different.
Yeah,
I'll
or
see
like
you
the
on-
Venus flytraps are gonna eat
Like-
you and dissolve your guts into goo.
Yum!
Cricket.
Mhm.
Honey trap. I've told you, not flag.
A
That sounds worse, Scotty. That is
honey
awful.
trap.
Honey
That sounds
trap.
way worse.
Got myself into a sticky situation.
Either a
I'll
bad
try
All right. Well, you guys take
behave.
care. Thank you so much.
All right.
No problem. Good talking to you
Looking
Bye,
for the
guys.
interview.
Bye.
Yeah, watch it.
Good talking to everyone.
Yeah,
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, love you, David.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, babe.